Hello, and welcome to the first international edition of Outriders Festival. My name is Jakub, and I have the pleasure of working in Outriders, but I'm not alone. There's many of us as in the team who work with me and have been working on preparing this festival. We've had some technical issues in the beginning, but now all the links which were supposed to work, so I'm happy because this is my main responsibility. We've had a huge internet outage yesterday in Warsaw and in some Poland, and it seems that the settings I was setting up didn't save. But well, we do it for the third time, so we do have some backups and ideas how to solve it. One of the things we are changing, it's we are adding more hosts. And the movie in the beginning, which you have seen, it took you from Minsk to Colombo in Sri Lanka, and that was
play some violin for us. He's a violin playing the best examples of a country that's been fighting COVID-19. Then we will travel to Afghanistan, and we will have a exhibition, a small photo exhibition from our colleague Fatimah. Then we will come back to Belarus, and we will have a speaker from this country. Her name is Nadia, and she is a volunteer with this crowdfunding campaign by COVID-19. Lola, do you want to continue?
Yeah.
So then it's Matt, who is an American, but he's based in Germany, and he is with Civic Hall, and he is gonna take us through all the greatest tech responses to the crisis. Then Italy again, and an amazing startup, Isinnova, that is 3D printing the valves for to help patients who can't breathe, right? Then it's going to be Vasco Kronevsky from Next Sense and the first contact tracing app in the Western Balkans. He's from North Macedonia. Then it's going to be Estonia and Kaye Isont from Garage 48. Then it's going to be Spain and an amazing journalist who is a survivor of COVID-19, and he is gonna talk about his time in the hospital and this amazing initiative that they had in the hospital. And then we will travel to Portugal and meet Florencia, who is gonna talk about this initiative that helps the homeless people in Portugal.
So hello Aldo and hello everybody, welcome. As we said, this is the Superhero Day, and we are pleased to have here with us one of those musicians who are playing every day from the balcony. He's a violinist of the Rai National Symphony Orchestra in Milan.
Yep.
But probably you know him to appear in a video playing on his balcony that went viral. Good morning, Aldo.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
So tell us firstly, how was it? Why did you decide to go to the terrace and play in front of everybody?
Okay, it was something very natural because I was in lockdown until since the 24th of February because I was working in La Scala Theater just for a period of 2 months, and they found a positive case of coronavirus in La Scala. So we started the quarantine like almost 10 days before the whole country. And this first concert in the balcony was on the 13th of March. So I was missing so much the contact with public, and I thought it was going to be long. So I started to think, what could I do to keep it in some way, so in some new way. So I started preparing a concert online on my social media, on Instagram and Facebook, and that was planned for the 13th at 7:30 p.m. And the same day, I received a communication from a colleague. It was a communication between all musicians in Italy that asked every musician to go on the balcony and play at 6 p.m. something to spread love to the neighbors. So I told my wife, okay, I have my program of the online concert, so I will play 5 minutes on the balcony, one of those pieces, you know, because I was preparing everything with the guitar, because I also play the guitar on the tablet and the speaker, so I could play guitar and violin. So it was a nice program, and I went there very shyly, and it was it was very cold day, and no one expected that, because everybody here, I think no one knew I play violin. So because I never study home, I study in my place of work, you know. And I went there like this, and I started playing, and after 5 minutes everybody was outside. They were so happy, and they asked for more and more. So I played 2 pieces, 3 pieces, and after that I thought, okay, if you like it that much, we can see each other tomorrow same time. So that was very spontaneous, and that was everything, you know. It's from the 13th of March to the 3rd of April. That was in the beginning, that had to be the end of the lockdown. So I played every day. There were 23, I think, days every day, and it was so nice. And after my online concert, I put together these things because I saw it was very nice for neighbors, but also very nice for people outside and how do you say? Outside. So I put them together, and I play every day on the balcony, but online on my social media. So it was everything.
And it happened, Aldo, that your first video went viral, and many people, even in China, started to watch how do you play from your balcony in Milan. Did you expect such impact
No, I
of
didn't.
that video?
For sure, I didn't expect something like that. It was a huge surprise because I thought, I'm not a doctor, so I can save lives. So I thought, okay, the only thing I can do is share my art, my music to everybody. But it was something huge. I didn't expect that, but it was so nice because I didn't thought it could be so nice for people, Yes, I thought it could be something nice for my neighbors and someone else, but millions of people, it was something very unexpected. Yeah.
And tell us about the feedback. I don't know if your neighbors later call you or many media. How was it after that video went viral?
Yeah, after that, that video went viral. It was because I live in Chinatown in Milan. So I have a Chinese neighbor who put this video on Weibo, is the principal social media in China. And that was why it went viral, because everybody from China, because in China they don't use Instagram or Facebook, they're banned. So on Weibo they could see this and they were so happy. So I opened a Weibo account to stay in touch with them, and I played 3 times live for them, because at 6 p.m. here it's midnight in China, so it's not very good for them. So I played before some live concerts for them, and it was so nice.
And tell us, how is the current situation in Italy, and especially in the north of the country?
So in the north of the country, it was the most difficult situation from the beginning. Now it's getting better, that we have more than half of the places of intensive care. So that's good news. But we will see. For now, on the 4th of May, we will start the second period. Like the lockdown, it's less. How do you say?
It will be relaxed.
Yeah, a little bit. Just to work and to see your relatives. But we will go distance. But for now, we can go only 200 meters from our home, so it's very, very close.
So you told us that do you perform every day, sometimes even 3 times, because you want to play for Chinese audience. I don't know if it would be possible also that you play today for Outriders audience or the people who are attending.
Yes, I will play. I will play a tango. It's called Los Mareados. And I like it so much because it's very fresh and good for this moment. And I have the guitar part in my tablet that an Argentinian friend who plays the guitar much better than me, he sent me this guitar part, so I will play with him. Okay?
Wow.
So cool. That's great.
Wow.
Cool. It feels like we've traveled to both Milan and Argentina at the same time. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Been great. It was really great to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if there is an account or something that we can follow that video that you upload.
Okay, on Instagram, it's Aldo C Violin.
Okay.
And in Facebook, it's Aldo Cicchini Violin. So Facebook pages and Instagram, every Sunday at 6 p.m. in Italy, I play live now until we will open everything. So I think we will see each other a lot of times.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Aldo, for being today with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yes, stay in touch. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Well, it was great. I mean, I feel that music really helps people, you know, who are self-isolating and who are, you know, just locked at homes. And that's something that comforts and, you know, brings some hope and joy in our lives. So it's great that people, all, you know, musicians around the world are doing this. Right. So we have our next speaker, but I feel that Wen-Yee is not yet here. I don't see her.
Yeah. So she's currently here.
Oh, she's here. Okay. Yeah, the microphone then. Hi, Wen-Yee.
Hi. Hello. Hi. Could you hear me?
Hi. Hello. Yes.
Yeah. I can hear you and I can see you, which is great. Right. So Wen-Yee Lee.
Okay.
Wen-Yee Lee is based in Taiwan, and she's recently joined us for our project Radar, and she's been collecting all the greatest responses from Taiwan and Asia. Wen-Yee has a great experience working as a journalist for some international media outlets. And today she's going to speak about Taiwan and the responses that this island introduced there. And as we know, the way Taiwan responded to the outbreak is one of the most successful in the world. And I was just wondering, Wen-Yee, if you could take us through the most, let's say, successful responses, the greatest initiatives that you've introduced in Taiwan, and what are the reasons like for this success?
Okay. Should I open my PowerPoint or Jakub will do that?
No, if you could actually share your screen, that would be great. If you could present, that would be better for us.
Okay. Let me check.
Yeah. So so while you are doing this, I think it makes sense to mention that in 2003, in Taiwan, there was the SARS outbreak, and Taiwan was one of the worst hit territories back then. And I think it will be also great if you could share some lessons that you guys learned from that outbreak. I guess something about the healthcare system or some contact tracing. I'm sure there are many of them. So start whenever you're ready, please.
Yeah, sure. I think maybe Jakub would help me to put on the presentation because I couldn't see a place to put on my PowerPoint.
All right. So if he's here, and I'm sure he is, he could hear you.
Is he here?
Yeah. Right. So
yeah, could you putting my? Okay, I'll just speak, describe a little bit about Taiwan's situation now. So I would like to first introduce a little bit about Taiwan. So my topic is about the Asia's responses and also how Asia is using its own technology. Yeah. So I would just like to use Taiwan as an example on how Taiwan managed to contain COVID-19. Could you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So in Taiwan there are 23 million people, but now as of today we only have 429 confirmed cases, and and also 6 deaths in Taiwan. So it's the Taiwanese government actually keep the number really low, the confirmed numbers, and we've have no new local infections over the past 16 days, which is like a really great news for now. And the current situation is that schools, restaurants, stores remain open. So when you are going on the streets, you can still see people on the street hanging around, but all of them, most of them wear masks on the street. And also it's required to wear a mask when you are at metro stations, train stations, or high-speed rail. So it's kind of the government's doing really great on containing the COVID-19 because they have educated people really well, and people all follow the government's guidance. And one interesting thing is that the Taiwanese Baseball League is still in play. So if any one of you are interested, you can just go ahead online to check where you can see, watch Taiwan baseball, and you can find some information. Okay, next slide.
Are there any audience? Is there any audience during these matches?
Well, it's not that many audiences actually. So people tend to watch baseball games online or on TV, but of course, even if there's no audience at the baseball game, but more and more online audiences join to watch, including some audiences from America, from Europe, and so on.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's one interesting fact in Taiwan now. Okay, I'll go to next slide. So next slide, I would like to talk a little bit on the 2003 SARS experience, because we had 346 confirmed cases and 73 deaths during 2003, the pandemic. And there was a hospital cluster pretty famous in Taiwan, which actually angered many Taiwanese people, because they think that the measure held by the Taiwanese government at that time was not appropriate, because they locked down all the hospital and then calling back 900 staff of the hospital and then putting them in quarantine inside the hospital for 2 weeks. So that to the result of 57 hospital staff got infected, which became a kind of a tragedy in Taiwan. So, but actually people or the government from that experience 17 years ago also learned a lot. There were 3 things that the Taiwanese government really like to mention about, which is prudent action, rapid response, and also early deployment. So if you can go to the next slide, you can see there was some early observation and deployment from the Taiwanese government. So since December 31st last year, so the Taiwanese government had already informed the WHO, and also they started onboard quarantine of passengers from Wuhan. So that means that the Taiwanese government really acts really fast, and then they started to strengthening some suspected cases reporting and hospital infection control, so that they can prepare well. And next slide, you would see. On January 20th, the Taiwanese government has already activated a central epidemic command center. So as of today, it's been 100 days. And so because of this center has been activated, and then it's actually days before the Wuhan lockdown, and also when the WHO announced public health emergency, so that Taiwan can prepare earlier than any other countries in the world, so that we can they also educate people and have people being well prepared. And you can see the next slide, which is there's a picture of the command center. So the Taiwanese government hosts a press conference every day from Monday to Sunday. So the command will talk about updates on COVID-19, and they will answer everything that reporters or people would like to know. So it's all about transparency. They report confirmed cases, and also for each confirmed cases, they would check who are those confirmed cases close contacts. So they would ensure that those people are also put in quarantine so that they can make sure everyone else, the public, would keep safe. And at the same time, during the press conference, they would also educate people what kind of knowledge they would need to have. For example, some COVID-19 knowledges, or for example, social distancing, or what's appropriate for people to be in touch with each other, or say if some people would like to go out to somewhere else during the weekend, should they go this week, or should they better not to go? So the government will inform people everything they need during the press conference every day. And then you will see the next slide, please. So I'll just introduce some quarantine measures from the Taiwanese government. So because of Taiwan as an island country, so most of our quarantine, most of the infected cases are from abroad. So we pay a lot of attention on airports. So once people traveling back to Taiwan, we would check their travel history and health checks, and also they will have hostel booking before their quarantine, because everyone going back from abroad, they have to be in 14-day quarantine in Taiwan. And then when they were on the airplane, they would have to have onboard quarantine and health statements. And then when they are at Taiwan airport, they would have to use their mobile phones to register. So the government would give people, the travelers, some forms to fill out. They would have to fill out their phone numbers and their addresses, the address to be quarantined, so that the government can make sure that they know where they are and where they can find them. And then the government also prepared taxes or rental cars for local transportation. So of course, the taxi drivers would help to sanitize all your luggages or bags, and including the person themselves. And next slide, talk a little bit about digital fencing tracking system. This is the technology the Taiwanese government, which is famous for during the COVID-19 situation, and the Taiwanese government used this phone tracking system to track people. So for those in quarantine, they would have their cell phone, right? So if the person who leaves the place, they are designated to be quarantined, then the system would be notified, say, oh, hey, this person leaves the place. And then the police officer would go out to find the person. And also to ensure that everyone's health situation and also their they are staying at home. So each person who are in quarantine would get 2 phone calls per day from local and civil health officers to check if they are still healthy, and if they are staying at home, anything you need. And one thing I think is really good for the Taiwanese government, because for people who are staying at home in quarantine, they are not able to go out to work. So for those people, they would get around $33 per day for compensation, and also a special care package. So in the package, sometimes you would get some food or some facial masks for anything that you need during the quarantine time. And if you go out to break the quarantine, then you would have to pay up to $33,000 as a fine. So that's some regulations that the Taiwanese government has. And then the next slide. So you will see also Taiwanese government implemented some mass distribution method. So very early on in January, they have already increased the mass daily production from 1.9 million to 16 million over the past 3 months. So they can ensure that every Taiwanese can get, now we can buy 9 facial masks per every 2 weeks. So ensure that everyone would have enough facial masks. And then we are able to use our national health insurance cards to purchase masks at pharmacies, or you can order online. There's an online name-based distribution system. So you can also order your mask online, get that at convenience stores. Some example for data and online mass maps is that we have also have some instant mass supplies maps. So you can check online. Some engineers created this map, so you can check like which pharmacy still has some mask in store. So you can go to that pharmacy or convenience store. So you don't need to like wait for a long time and go to a lot of pharmacies and cannot buy any mask. Yeah, that's all about Taiwanese. The government, which they have done pretty well, doing some early deployment and some using some technology method to help the Taiwanese people to contain the coronavirus. And that's all for today. And if you have any questions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for this. That's been really informative. Look, I was wondering, though, how do you feel like you mentioned some of these apps, that do contact tracing, and whenever you leave your apartment, you can be traced, and a police officer can be notified. How do you personally feel about it? Because here in Europe and in the US, we've got a lot of discussions about privacy issues. So is it like, how do you still ensure that your privacy is not being violated?
Yeah, so actually, because I think in Taiwan, people are more caring about their health, so that when the government implements this phone tracking systems, actually, I think there's surprising not that many arguments on that, because it's being implemented pretty well on phone tracking. For example, if someone's out, it's become kind of a danger for the public. And then the Taiwanese government thinks that it's for public health. It's not only for like a personal reasons. So in order to protect the public health for the general public, it's kind of a necessary measure to do that during this COVID-19 time.
Absolutely. So this is kind of, there are more pros than cons. Yeah, well, totally understandable. Well, thank you for this.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy there. And see you soon then. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. See you.
I'll just quickly add that actually there is a chance for you guys from wherever you are to ask a question or post a comment. You can do this on like our YouTube stream or on our Facebook, so on Twitter. So please join us and publish your questions to our great speakers. Lola?
Sorry, yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Hanna, and thank you, Wen-Yee. One of the reasons because today we are celebrating is because we are launching also a project that is called Radar, and we are looking for responses to the effects of COVID-19 around the world. And Wen-Yee is the person, the reporter who is based in Taiwan, and she's looking for responses in the region. So she will show more of these responses in the next weeks. And the next speaker is Fatimah Hossaini. She's a photographer who is based in Afghanistan, in Kabul. And well, probably you saw many pictures about Afghanistan in media, but Fatimah usually try to show how is her country in a different way. So today she's here with us to tell us how she's using this lockdown to create art and to show her views of Afghanistan. Hello, Fatimah. Hi, Fatimah. Can you hear me? I think you are mute.
Yeah, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself, please? Yeah.
Hello, guys. You can hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? I hope you're all well and safe. Thank you so much for having me today. It's my pleasure to be with you today and talking about this situation in a positive way. Today I'm going to talk about some of my projects during the COVID-19 and also hold the concept of my works about living in a war zone and how I can deal with the situation. So can I start about the project? And
yeah, sure, when you want.
Yeah, it's this slide. I think Afghanistan, I mean, I was born in Tehran and it's about 3 years that I back to my country for teaching in Kabul University and work on my projects here. And I think COVID-19 is just another tragedy on an already long list of suffering in Afghanistan. And people always hear about war and so many disaster in Afghanistan. So I decided to work on another side of Afghanistan, another part of, another face. It's unseen portrait of Afghanistan in the world, and a face that media never cover it. So, generally, all my works and the concept of my works are about the positive side of Afghanistan and positive side of Afghan women. And three important topics in my works are migration, gender, and identity. And also, my photo book is also working on unseen portrait of Afghan women, and I want to show another face of women in Afghanistan without burqa, without poverty, without, the bad news that always media is covering them. So today I want to talk about my new project it's a collaboration between Afghan women artists. And one of them is United by Art and Fashion. That I did this with the collaboration with Lemon Clothing, that it's a fashion house in Afghanistan. They have a campaign now in these days about La Masque, and they want to keep the spirit high in this tough time. So we, the women of Afghanistan, have come together to bring the art and with the stone of gems from luxury of our mountains and our gleams and the beauties of Afghan women. These all together made this collection. So this is a collaboration between Afghan women artists, activists, and fashion designers and photographers. and reflecting COVID-19 times for expanding our culture, art, and fashion by sharing creative resource and cultural heritage and with the sustainable visions for private development and collaborative reforms. Also, in this collection, I work with, can you please show the next slide? Yes, actually I do stage photography, and all my photos are not documentary, and they are all stage. I mean, as like a filmmaker, I staged I direct this, and then I freeze the images, so and I capture them. In this collection, actually, it's it keeps the concept of my works and also a new side of positive reflection of COVID-19. So in this stage photography, I wanted to say that I'm still continuing my works as a stage photographer in Afghanistan to show unseen portrait of Afghan women. But this time, anything didn't change. Just I did this with masks, and I mean, nothing can limit my works. Nothing can make restrictions in my works. So I did. I mean, I tried to do some different topics in one collection. So next slide is also about the United by Art and Fashion. These are all.
It's really beautiful, Fatimah. Sorry, I would like to ask you because you always use a lot of colors in your pictures. I think you try to show some of your heritage of the culture. I don't know if this you have there. Did you choose this for any reason, or I don't know if it's part of the heritage of the. I don't know, here in the background.
Good question, Lola. Good question. Actually, always I'm thinking that I came from a country that it has always war, and I mean, Afghanistan for me, the image of Afghanistan for me always was black and white, because I was born out of here, and always I hear about Taliban, about limitation, about poverty, about bad news. So I think this is because of my background, and today I am a stage photographer that I want to cover this war, this black and white image with colors. I think this can be the reason. So I want to work with colors because I think we have so many disasters and problems here enough. So color maybe can cover them, can a little cover them, I think, maybe.
Thank you.
You can go to the next slide and finish this collection. These are all the Afghan designs. I mean, these clothes, these hats, the glimpse background, the stones, the jewelries, all of them are Afghan, from Afghanistan. I mean, I wanted to make them all together to show the beauty side of Afghanistan and Afghan women. And the last photo. Thank you. The next collection, it's Life Behind the Masks. Actually we follow the news every day. We hear about bad news and all negative vibes. And this is the time to keep our spirit high and spread the positive vibes. And conveying this message that we are all in this together. Here are some self-portraits. I mean, please, next slide. These are all self-portraits of me. as an artist. Next slide. That it's also a collaboration between Laman Fashion House and also my friend Tahmina Alizada did their photos. So actually we hear enough nerve-wracking and painful news about the world in the time of COVID-19 every day. So I think it's a time to play with colors and involve art and fashion to keep the balance and hope. And one day everything will get back to normal. But it's the best time to become a hero by thinking to avoid spreading the virus. In this collection, we all try to convey this message by mixing art and fashion, and I think it was one of the best day that Outriders, you guys did that. I mean the hero days. So in this collection, I tried to capture also this one. And next slide. Yes. And next one. Next one. All these shapes that you can see on the mosque, they are all Afghan, I mean, traditional shapes that Laman Fashion House designed. And next one. Okay, and this is also another part of life behind the mask, that I did this with traditional, I mean, these piece that you can see, it's goleseb. It's a traditional and I mean, so an important cloth in Afghanistan that people from north of Afghanistan, I mean Mazar Sharif, Badakhshan, Turkmen guys use this. I mean, in every old women, young, all of them, and it has different colors. So I try to mix these traditional piece with the mask and with the beauties. I mean, all these concepts get together to do this one, and I am also doing this with another stage directing. So it's still in progress, and I'm doing this collection, and I'm continuing with some different piece and traditional piece. I mean, so next one. Yes, you can see another color in the background. This has different colors, and it's one of the most nostalgic and traditional piece in Afghanistan. Yes, and it's still in progress. You can see more of this in future.
Thank you, Fatimah. I must say that they are so powerful, your pictures, and yeah, really happy that you are here today with us, because especially in all the countries are good things, bad things, but I think we never see beautiful things about Afghanistan. Media is always focusing in all the challenges that for sure they are, but yeah, you express so well what you want to tell about your country and your heritage. Yeah, it's really nice.
Thank you so much.
May I just quickly jump in? I've got a comment for you. Fatimah, there is someone commented that great idea with coloring the reality. So that's some feedback for you. Well, thank you for this. As Lola said, I mean, yes, we definitely read some black news, let's say, and now we have some colorful news from Afghanistan. May I just quickly ask you, so how has your work changed? because of the pandemic?
Okay, actually, my works have been changed. So many of my exhibitions were cancelled. My exhibition in Tokyo, in my conferences in Qatar, all my, my classes in Kabul University, everything were cancelled. And actually, being in Afghanistan, as I said, it has already long list of suffering. So. COVID-19 is another tragedy also for an artist, that being a woman in Afghanistan, it's a big challenge enough. So when you are an artist, it's also, another challenge. So in this time, it's so hard for me to accept that so many exhibitions were cancelled. I can't do anything nowadays. The city is in quarantine. And, also some of people, they don't care about COVID-19 because they faced so many disasters enough. So it affects actually in my works because so many I lost so many opportunities in exhibition in this time. And also but I try to keep the spirit high. And this collection was one of the one of these things that I wanted to, and I'm doing also. So yes, actually it affected all around the world and also on my works in Afghanistan. But I try to stay positive.
Absolutely.
I try to register this time, to record this time in a positive way, because as I said, Afghanistan has enough painful stories.
Yeah, well, thank you for this. I'm sorry to hear that, it affected you professionally, but as we can see, you are still trying to find a way to motivate yourself to do something great. Thank you for your exhibition. Thank you for joining us, and please stay safe and healthy.
Thank you so much for all your support and for this amazing initiative. And thank you so much for sharing this honorable seat with me. Stay safe, please.
Stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Right. So we've got someone from Belarus, which is closer to me. Nadia. Nadia is here. Hi. Good to see you, Nadia.
Hi, guys. Happy to join you today with this cool idea of sharing experience of COVID-19 fight.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
over the world.
Absolutely. I'm happy that, it's still, I'm based here. I'm based in Belarus, so I'm happy that you're joining. Well, let me just briefly say that there is a kind of the biggest news that we also have the coronavirus in Belarus, despite Alexander Lukashenko is denying it as a psychosis. But our healthcare system also needs support. It's been very much affected by the virus. But I can see pictures, but there is a glimpse of hope. There is a group of volunteers. That's a nationwide campaign called Buy COVID-19. And Nadia is one of the volunteers. He's actually a coordinator of this campaign. However, may I just start with this question? I know, Nadia, that you ride a motorbike and you work as an assistant director of an ad agency in Belarus. So you are a successful professional. Why volunteering?
Well, I'm freelance professional, actually.
Okay, good to know.
So, yeah, we don't have any shootings now, so that's why I have some free time, and I decided that it's quite a cool idea to devote it to some useful stuff, Just because sitting at home is quite boring. I was sitting at home doing nothing the whole winter, so now I want to be active, because usually spring it's the start of the shooting season and you work as hell, and now I just need to keep fit, somehow.
You've got just too much free time, right? Let's say.
Yeah.
Look, but tell us more about the campaign itself, please. Like, how did it all start? And describe it. I mean, the whole world is puzzled by Lukashenko and, his absolute ignorance of the virus. So, tell us more what you guys are doing.
Well, the campaign started months ago, like 1 month and 1 day ago. And for all this time, we already our last fundraising Excel said that we raised about $200,000, something like that. I think it's the only campaign for the last 30 years of Belarusian independence, maybe 29 to be exact, that was held by Civic society, and that is quite successful. Like, we are doing some kind of impossible things here. We're trying to buy all this protective stuff for doctors and hospitals, and buying them all over the world and trying to bring them to Belarus. So that's what we mainly do. So I better maybe describe the process.
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm located in our warehouse.
I can see that.
Like, we have some papers on the walls, and there you can see Andrei Tkachov, one of our guys. He was actually dancing, but he didn't know that I'm the camera is frontal, you know.
Right, but wait a second, because this is an art gallery. Actually, this is a gallery of contemporary art. So.
Yeah, our friends who own the art gallery said that if we need warehouse, we can use the gallery because they are closed because of the quarantine that they decided to make for themselves. So this is our warehouse now, and people bring stuff here. We have like usually 2 people in the warehouse probably every day from 11 to 6, sometimes later, sometimes earlier, because people usually bring different stuff for them. Then, so the process is like we have quite a lot of volunteers all around the Republic.
How many?
A lot. I never counted actually, because there are a lot of initiative groups in the cities, like in small cities and bigger cities, and they're trying to solve the tasks locally. Sometimes not even communicating with us. They're like very
autonomous.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And our main task is to buy like some equipment or self-protective stuff for doctors and spread it among the hospitals. We have Google form that doctor can send us their needs.
Yeah.
And we just call them, check, and after that we decide if we can send something and what we can send and when and all that stuff. We have quite big chat of transport guys, transport volunteers, so usually we are very easy with the transport. And also we have special people who are making different documents, because we're living in Belarus, and if you don't have any documents, that means that you're doing something illegal, and that means that after that you're going to jail. So we have special anti-jail department. And
oh my God, that sounds crazy.
Yeah. I mean, like, the understanding of what kind of country we live, and that it doesn't matter if we're doing something nice and good for doctors. After that, we need to respond for that. That's it.
And may I just ask you, like, I don't want to interrupt, but may I just ask you, because it might be important. So you mentioned this anti-jail department, which sounds bizarre, but I obviously know what country we live in. So, like, what about doctors? Are they scared? Are they, like, do they have any fears? Because they kind of talk to you, they contact to you, and they say that, oh my God, we don't have some protective gears, and like, do they fear any, whatever, repressions, whatever?
Hanna, for sure they do. For sure they're totally scared, because they were not ready at all. And they were not ready, like, psychologically. They were not ready by the equipment. So the situation was very horrible. Hi, Andrei.
Yeah, I saw him, yeah.
It's like a shark, you know? He's
Yeah.
just going around me. Okay, so the situation was quite horrible and no one was ready for that. And that's why like a week or two ago, we decided to launch psychological support by the phone for doctors and some volunteers, because we're working already 1 month. We are not paid for that. We are putting all our efforts to do our job as best as it's possible. And for sure we are exhausted, and for sure we need some support as well as our medicals. So I think that this week and beginning of the next week, we will finally launch this psychological hotline, and doctors will be able to call and tell about their worries, about their scariness and all that stuff. Because you see, the main problem is that they're working for the government. I mean, like all medical institutions, all hospitals, it's everything is governmental. We do not have such kind of private medicine. We have private medical centers, but they are not allowed to rescue people during this pandemic. So doctors living in quite dual situation, because from TV screens they see that this is psycho attitude to the coronavirus, and Lukashenko says that there is no coronavirus pandemic. It's all about the psychos, guys. You're psycho.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean that's been.
Yeah, and then you come to work and you see that people just dying.
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
how tell us a little bit more about that, actually. Like, how do you feel? Do people acknowledge the problem? You mentioned that, I mean, like, people have their own eyes and they follow independent media, independent news, and they can clearly see that something is happening. But we have this, official state-owned TV channels that are ignoring the problems, the coronavirus. So how, from your point, like, what's happening? What do people believe in then?
I think they quite acknowledge the reality. They understand it. And I think that actually some officials do the same. Like Ministry of Health as well knows about the real situation. And actually they're trying their best because they are as well in some circumstances, they need to follow the official position from one side, but from another side, they see the real situation and then they try to solve it as well. So that's why, for example, we are in quite close contact with them. So we're trying to help them and they're trying to help us somehow. And sometimes it's successful partnerships, sometimes not. But I think that actually if we consider Ministry of Health, they do really know what's happening actually, and they're trying their best. But unfortunately, it's again big bureaucratic machine that is struggling with the official circumstances.
So you guys deliver masks, protective gears, oxygen concentrators, some really, let's say, limited and very helpful and very much needed things, right, to hospitals. How do you get them in the first place? How do you buy them? You buy them like from everywhere, I know, but like tell us more about that. Like I know that you've built like a network. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
We have special, I call it Sonderkommand.
You've got really cool names.
Yeah. I mean, like my nicknames for the departments are very funny. Usually, because if you don't have sense of humor, you cannot survive in such situation. Actually, it's my point of view. So our special command, the special team, they're contacting different suppliers and trying to low down the price and trying to get the best prices we have. And also sometimes we buy something occasionally, like yesterday, for example, I bought 70 glasses, 70 white protective glasses just in building shop, because they were quite cheap and it was 70. so nice. And so it's everything is quite occasionally, but at the same time we have some requests from the hospitals, and we're trying to close all these requests. So sometimes we have requests, like for example for these oxygenators. We got a lot of requests, so we try to find them somewhere, and we found them. Usually it's like you just call people and trying to deal with them. And as for pulse oximeters, for example, one, if I'm not mistaken, it was bought by one Belarusian girl who's living in Germany near the border of the Switzerland, and she bought everything in her area. Then we transferred her, because then she called us and said, like, guys, I have like 70 more in Switzerland, and I have a car, so I will go to Switzerland and buy it for you. And we're like, wow. So we just sent her money, and she went, bought it, and then she transferred it to Poland, and from Poland it got to Belarus by the diplomatic channel. That's, for example, this is a successful example of cooperation with the Ministry of Health. They helped us to bring it to Belarus, and now we're waiting if they will spread it to the hospitals that we asked to spread it, because it's ours. I mean, like, people crowdfunded the money for the pulse oximeters, and we want these pulse oximeters to be spread it where we want. Now we're waiting if the Ministry of Health will do that.
Yeah.
I hope.
And go ahead, please.
Yeah, I hope, yes. I hope that they will do that, like follow our advice.
So tell us more. You mentioned that so it's been like more than a month that you guys started, and I guess I saw a kind of a map of, where this equipment is needed, and like how you mentioned this Google form on your website, so hospitals and medical workers can fill it, and you guys can deliver this equipment to those hospitals. So how do you ensure that it's been spread, let's say, in a fair way?
We have special team. Like for every action, we have a special team.
We have a lot of people, I can see.
Yeah, we have a special team that is calling to hospitals and just asking them if they got it. That's it. I mean, we have more or less regular volunteers who are transporting all the stuff. Who are transporting all the stuff from the warehouse to the hospitals, and we have usually these photos that you can see meanwhile on this presentation or slideshow. So usually we have photos that guys sent in us, like, hey, we brought everything here, please confirm. And the same, but when we are doing that because this is our first experience with the government, so we will just call probably, because we're quite in good relationship with hospitals, and usually we get the proper information from them.
Right. How do you ensure that, let's say, you guys are safe, and when you go to hospitals to deliver stuff, that they are also safe?
We usually do not get inside, because you see, it's quite how would say, a tricky question. Because once we got the request from one of the Minsk hospital that they need some volunteers for the clean zone. They call it clean zone, like to transfer patients, to help them to find something, to bring one paper from one place to another place, all that stuff. And they said that volunteers will never come to some COVID areas and all this. And I was quite suspicious about this idea, but I suggested, and then to our volunteers, if they maybe they wanted to go to the hospital on volunteer beginnings. And then we just briefly talked to each other. I mean, like in our coordination team, and we just decided that it's very dangerous, actually, because to be honest, there is no clean zone in the hospital now. never, and nowhere. There is no clean zone. It's hospital. Hospital is by default COVIDed, you know. That's why we cannot say send volunteers there.
Absolutely, but you guys also wear masks, like inside that warehouse. I like now you are without it, but I can see that you have some gloves, and Andre usually has masks and all that. So I guess you guys are kind of prepared.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, clearly, like everybody's masks. Yeah, right. So you mentioned that you've been collaborating in a way with the Ministry of Health. And I guess businesses also joined. Like, tell us more about that. Like, tell us maybe more about the people who are inside, who are volunteers. Andrei Strizhak is a human rights defender. You are and you work for an ad agency in advertising, right? So tell us more about that, please.
Okay. Yesterday.
Oops.
Oh,
sorry, it was me.
Yesterday, my friends, we were zooming on each other. You know how it's also very funny how our language changes during the quarantine, because earlier there was invention of the verb Google, like Google it, and now like Zoom me. So we were zooming with the friends, and they said that it was Ola Lipkovich and Zhenya Lipkovich, and they said that, guys, you have very, very cool marginal company. I mean, like the most marginal team ever. You could never gather all together actually in normal times. So yeah, I'm working in commercial shootings. I'm working on set as first assistant director. Andrei Strizhak, one of the main guys, he is a human rights defender, as you said. Andrei Tkachov, who was sharking around me, he's fitness fitness trainer. And Yulia Doroshkevich, she's making huge photo event in Belarus, and actually she's into cultural events. Dima Narishkin, he's comedian. He has stand-up club, and but I'm joking better actually. To be honest.
Clearly.
Then we have Anastasia Drobish. She's working also in a film production company, as well as another girl, Maria Bidula. She's as well working in film production company. And who else? We have Antonia and Sasha. They're working as in IT companies. Tonya is CEO of some machine learning, some all this stuff. I don't understand it. And Sasha is a really cool product manager. Sorry. It's different. Yeah, I remember we quarreled a lot about that. So he's product.
Some pride.
Yeah, he's product.
Wow, I mean, these are.
And it's
these are like people from
the people here.
Yeah, and you've got volunteers all over the country.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, it's been great to hear from you and to hear more about this initiative. It's been all over the news, but well, thank you for sharing some insights, and thank you for joining us. I saw your post about being overwhelmed, so I hope that you will stay safe and sane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please don't go to jail. In Belarus, you never know.
No, it's just, it's kind of joke, because if you don't, I mean, like this anti-jail department that I call anti-jail department, it's just like super nice girls who are making official documents for all the stuff we're doing, because like without documents, we could never deal with taxes and all that stuff. So.
I know there is a lot of bureaucracy here in this country.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Nadia, for joining. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, guys, as well. It was super cool to join you.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Right. Yes, so we are moving, and our next speaker, I saw him already. His name is Matt Stempeck. He is an American who is based in Berlin in Germany. And he is a senior researcher with Civic Hall, where he is curating the Civic Tech Field Guide. And I guess, Matt, you want to talk about this a little bit more because you know better what's that and can guide us through that and explain it in a better way. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know about knowing better, but
I'm
I
sure
do want to share a lot of tabs with you. They're not going to be as beautiful as Fatimah's photos. Can you see this Civic Tech Field Guide page?
I can see that, yes.
Great, I'm glad that went well. So hi, I'm Matt, and yeah, I've been inspired by the types of volunteers and digital volunteers that we've been hearing from today for a long time, at least since my master's thesis in 2012, 2013. So what I do is I curate a global collection of civic tech projects and tech for good projects from around the world, and that's civictech.guide. The project of Civic Hall in New York. Some of you may know Civic Hall because they founded Personal Democracy Forum. So way back in 2005, they started thinking about how people can use technology to help improve our democracies. This is our global map on the Civic Tech Field Guide. We have nearly 4,000 projects all categorized. So whether you're looking for tools to engage people in your community or ways to digitize government, or ways to fight government through campaigns, we kind of catalog all of those tools. Some of you may know Alexandra, maybe she's watching right now. If so, hi, Alexandra. We also curate by country. So we have volunteer curators step up and help us understand the projects in their country. Here's Poland's page. We've got about 10 countries and 2 cities so far. So basically, the reason we track all of this is that we want to help move this field in a more productive direction and help the makers of civic tech find one another to benefit from open source projects and help funders find good projects. It's been going since 2015. I got started in this kind of curation work when I was doing my master's at MIT Media Lab at a place called the Center for Civic Media. The Center for Civic Media is focused on tech for social good type projects. And I was really inspired coming in about the ways basically technology and the internet let us volunteer online. And the more I dug into it, the more I saw that what we call mutual aid has become much more participatory. So just like participatory media, aid itself has become easier for more people to engage. And so just like the record industry or the travel industry, a lot of aid and crisis relief efforts now are cutting out the middlemen. In this case, the middlemen might be formal aid organizations. So I did my master's thesis on it. Mainly relevant to this is that I collected about 100 examples of the different ways people can help in a crisis. I was inspired by this volunteer response and this grassroots response to crises because there's lots of traditional aid groups, but they're pretty siloed. So this is an image here of the UN and the cluster system where they have entirely different organizations dealing with food or housing or water. Oh, food and water, I think are the same. No, they're different departments. So obviously in a crisis like this one neighborhood might be experiencing all of these at once. And so there's siloed, and also traditional aid organizations are focused on the immediate essentials, but not always a lot of the cultural needs we have, a lot of the community needs we have, economic needs. And that's where I was really inspired by mutual aid and participatory aid. I noticed after digging into this that people have been doing this for years. There's digital humanitarians and what the academic literature calls volunteer and technical communities, VTCs, another acronym for us. And these groups have basically been working from outside of aid organizations and multilateral organizations to try to help with digital means. So you can think of things like making a crisis map on Ushahidi is a great example of digital aid. And they remind me of civic tech groups because they're often working from a volunteer basis and outside of formal institutions, while trying to do the work that really, in a perfect world, maybe our formal institutions would do a better job of. So after collecting 100 examples, I found, our jobs and our skill sets are moving online, and we can do a lot more on the internet every single year. So across the board, some of the categories I saw were, mapping of resources. We've seen in COVID-19 a lot of matching programs, so helping a neighbor take an errand, or helping someone find food or medical supplies with a matching resource. Likewise, people are donating their professional skills pro bono, and even driving attention to something. So fighting misinformation or promoting a cause or a crisis that hasn't received much media attention can actually be life-saving, even as a form of communication. There was one study I found that the amount of media attention a crisis received was related to how much aid money that crisis got. So if something like the Olympics were on TV, a drought or a flood happening that week might get less aid money because it was crowded out in the news space. And of course, software projects. So this is what we'll focus on today, is civic tech and the software digital response. I'm amazed by teams like Nadia's that are on the ground and doing the real work of getting supplies to people who need it. A lot of the projects I'll talk about are as dangerous as building a website, but that comes with some issues of its own that I'll talk about too. This here is just a 4-quadrant graph I made to help understand the whole world of these digital response projects. There's micro work, which you might think of like crowdsourcing some basic data. I've volunteered to have my Fitbit data go to an academic study about COVID. That's a very micro work thing for me to do, versus mega work might be building something like radar, building an entire project. And likewise on the x-axis here, your project might be helping the formal aid decision makers themselves. So helping augment their capacity, or you might be working directly to help the affected population and trying to help the community without going through formal institutions. And these are spectrums, they're false dichotomies, but it gives a sense of how to sort some of these projects. So on the Civic Tech Field Guide, of course, in early March, when we saw the entire world of digital response shifting to coronavirus, we created a page here, civictech.guide/coronavirus. And I'll share all these links out with the group, so you don't need to furiously write them down. But this coronavirus page, basically, we have suggested readings, we have unique funding opportunities that have come up for groups responding, and we have a lot of events and digital conferences like this one that you can participate in from around the world. But mostly it's about the projects. So on the field guide, as I mentioned, we track across really 6 pillars of work, which are engaging the public, working with governments on tech, civic and open data, advocacy and campaigns, and media and journalism. And then lastly, the emerging technologies and hardware and things like AI. So I'll just go through a couple examples of each category so you know what I'm talking about. Of course, Outriders Radar platform is a great example of an engagement project where you're tracking. Shout out to the newly launched. It's beautiful. It's much prettier than ours, but I'd still love to work together. So over 300 entries, and and a great example of engagement because people can add their own projects. And one of the real unsolved challenges I found in this space of digital humanitarianism was coordination. Lots of people can launch a mapping tool. There's already thousands of COVID response projects coming out of hackathons and things, but coordinating who's doing what and driving energy and attention to the most successful projects is still an unsolved challenge. So I'm happy to see things like Radar. As I mentioned, there's been several, and congrats on the launch. I don't know how you managed to do that in a conference at the same day. So there's been a couple of major hackathons, global ones. Here in Germany, there was Virus Virus, and that had about 20,000 people participating. Some of the big tech companies have sponsored them on DevPost with another 20,000 people. I think it's a different 20,000 people even. And these have produced thousands of projects. And obviously we all know that hackathon projects don't always live on. I do think it's inspiring that people want to help in this time, but it comes with some issues, like doing some prior art search and seeing if the tool already exists. Some other lessons I've learned are to bring in the subject matter expert very early in your design. So if you're trying to build an open hardware ventilator, you better be talking to a medical professional and not just kind of hacking in your garage. I also enjoyed the Tech Contra Virus project here, which lets you upvote different community ideas and kind of gain momentum on which ones we should build before investing too much time. It's kind of a playground where you can test out ideas. The Coronavirus Tech Handbook, of course, is an amazing example of using the internet for what it's really good for, which is coordinating communication and information, right? So this started as a Google Doc. It's now a sprawling, massive resource of the world's response to coronavirus. It goes way beyond just civic tech. It includes government responses, it includes a lot of different things, and hundreds of people are adding to it every day. So it's a great example of kind of coordinating the community and many communities to work together. On the Civic Tech Field Guide, we track tools that let you manage volunteers better. So a lot of this work is coordination, and we've got many pages of tools that might help with that. I Help You is another app, I believe, from Poland that is a great example of the type of project we're seeing right now, which is neighbors helping neighbors take care of each other, because we know our official responders are either way too busy or in some cases not helpful. It's great to see communities helping each other. One issue with Civic apps is that after you build it, it's very hard to get distribution. So a lot of great apps have had very little usage. And that's where I started getting excited about the idea of implementing civic features, civic engagement features like a map, onto more mainstream digital platforms, because a platform like Google has billions of users, and being able to implement a civic feature there will have a lot more impact than building my own app that I have to tell everyone about. So this is an example where Nextdoor, the neighbor platform, basically added one of these I have, you need kind of matching tools on their platform for COVID-19. Quarantine Chat's another good example of an engagement project, because it's just about social isolation. And unlike some of the more medical hardware type projects, I don't think this has limited capacity to hurt people. You can report bad conversations, but it's a really nice way to think about community needs and things that the Red Cross might not be responding to right now. This is a project out of New York that support local businesses. The map seems to have messed up here, but basically encouraging people to buy gift cards from their favorite restaurants and cafes, even when they're closed, so that they'll still be open later, and help support your Main Street businesses that you love in your neighborhood. I thought that was a really inspiring example of the community support type project. And then the COVID Story Project is, again, one of these kind of soft cultural needs to remember the time that we're going through, to archive it, to help future historians understand what life was like, that we wouldn't expect first responders to be working on this right now. But it's a very great example of a civic tech response that is a more participatory archive of the time that we're living in than we might have had in the past. On GovTech, I'll just give a couple of examples. The Code for America and Georgetown University have started working to augment local government capacity and national government capacity with tech workers. So, government's not always a great partner, but in this time we need government, and we're dropping our existing battles with government to augment them and help with pro bono tech support. And this has also happened in the US on political campaigns, so it's really nice to see helping in the COVID response as well. They're coordinating. And in the EU, of course, another role of government coordinating is coordinating a data exchange, a data portal, to help accelerate the research in this space. And data is another one where there's already hundreds of COVID data portals and visualizations. So it's nice to see, a more overarching body like the EU step in and try to help coordinate some of that work so it can be more impactful. And then I'll go talk about advocacy and campaigns. So I've worked on campaigns. I've worked on the Hillary Clinton campaign against Donald Trump in 2016. And a lot of political campaigns is talking to people face to face, holding rallies, and doing these activities and events that we can't do right now. So there's been a lot of thinking. This is my colleague Mika Sifri wrote this piece on what happens to politics when we can't march. And a lot of campaigners, I'm happy to say, are quickly pivoting to figure out what does work in this time. Last week, there was a conference called Organizing 2.0 that was specifically bringing in, almost all of the content was about how do we run a political campaign if we can only use the internet and we have to be socially isolated. So they had a lot of organizers talking about how they use tech to build volunteers and hold massive phone calls, and even like postcard campaigns to get petition signatures, various ways to get around the limits that are now in place. People are getting very creative. And then there's been a huge outpouring of mutual aid societies. So these are local groups where people are helping each other, often independent of government and independent of many existing institutions. So there's been a whole flowering of these groups. This is an example from the UK. A directory with lots and lots of these groups. And then also on the campaign front, there's labor organizing. So coworker.org is basically like a change.org petition site but for the people you work with. So they've helped organize, for example, Starbucks workers to get better benefits and pay and education and childcare support. And the way they do that is they launch a petition, and then if a bunch of your coworkers at this huge corporation sign it from around the world, they'll actually help connect you with each other in a way that your company might not let you. And coworkers can focus on COVID response, so making sure workplaces are safe if they're going to be sending workers back to work in those places is a huge issue. And then on coronavirus data projects, there's obviously a lot of data, open government and otherwise, and coordinating that's been an issue. This is an open research data set, the COVID-19, which is a way to quickly share research at a pace that's much faster than academic journals usually publish at, which is a scale of years. There's a project from Czechoslovakia, I believe, where you can compare and visualize rates between different countries. We're seeing a lot of projects like this. And there's a project out of New York that took open data about sidewalk width to see where can I walk in the sidewalk while actually maintaining the distance I'm supposed to from other people. And you can see Brooklyn is pretty dense here, but you might have a better shot in the park. And lastly, second to last, I'll talk about media real quick. First Draft is an organization that's been doing a lot to fight misinformation online, and they've put together a very helpful collection of resources for journalists. One of the things I really like to see at times like this, and I am seeing, is newsrooms coordinating with each other, because there's no need for everyone to duplicate the same work, especially if they serve different geographic audiences. So there's been some good newsroom partnerships. Midan is an example of a group that's working to fight misinformation around COVID-19, which we're sad to see is definitely happening, just like with elections. And they have a digital health lab. It's one example of many. We've been tracking fact checkers and disinformation fighting tools on our field guide. And I would encourage, if you want to fight disinformation with coronavirus, to work with existing groups and support them, because there's many, many fact checking groups. And I don't think that launching entirely new efforts right now is really what we need.
Yeah.
Sorry if that offends anyone. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong.
No, I mean, I support you. First Draft and Midan are really great. So definitely.
And they're just examples, right? There's lots.
Yeah. Do you wanna? I finished.
Well, I'll just lastly, just some of the emerging tech, and I know we're talking about 3D printers. There's some really cool stuff happening with 3D printers and digital fabrication around personal protective equipment that's missing. I think this is beautiful and should be celebrated. I also think that there's a reason we have mass industrialization, and ideally, we coordinate better in the future to have these supplies on hand. But with the lack of those supplies, it's really inspiring to see digital fabrication filling in. Another quick example of AI being used is this Do Not Pay bot was originally created to help people fight parking tickets in an automated way. So they would basically game the system of how you get out of a parking ticket and help people use this bot to do so in a scalable way. And they've expanded to help people in the US get unemployment insurance and kind of integrate with these very heavy bureaucratic systems that aren't easy to get through, and use AI to help people do that in a smooth way and get more benefits. And lastly, there's some open hardware projects. And that's again where I would caution, if you're building medical supplies, that you not put those supplies in front of people who need them without having done a lot of due diligence and talk to medical experts. Lastly, I promise, I'm really interested in how the big tech platforms I mentioned are building these civic features. So companies like Facebook, Google, Apple, Siri knows about coronavirus now. Fitbit, you can volunteer your data. I track those examples of the big tech mainstream companies on this Tumblr, civicfeatures.tumblr.com, where you can see all the different ways that they're helping or that you can kind of engage there. So I'll stop there so we can actually talk.
No, I mean, that was actually great. Well, thank you for sharing this. And I mean, there are a lot of examples, really great ones, and it only inspires, I guess, now, because we can see that, every possible solution is being introduced already. And what I find interesting, and I'll be real quick now, is that some of these initiatives we could see while we were collecting this for our database, which you shared, that they kind of repeat each other. Like there is this initiative in New York that you mentioned that help local businesses to survive, and there is another one, I guess, in Berlin, and this is really, really great that I don't know whether they were kind of inspired by each other or created independently. It doesn't matter. But I think that your guide helps, like, let's say, a startup in another country to come up with something new. But may I just quickly ask you, how do you see the future of this project after the pandemic is over? And it's going to be over one day.
I really hope so. That's a great question, Hanna. And I think for me, what I would love to see is with these projects, with crisis tech, and also similarly campaign technology, there's a spike in development when there's a crisis. And this one might be longer than usual, but like in other crises, there might be a volcano eruption, there'd be a quick spike in projects, and then people don't work on them. What's nice is to have continuity between projects over the years. So Google had a person finder tool to help report missing people that originally launched, I think, after Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And what was nice is because they made it based on an open data standard, people continued to develop it over the years. And even though the development was spiky, it actually built on top of itself each time versus starting from scratch each time. So I would love to see more open standards and also continuing to build and improve existing tools wherever possible, even if that's in a sort of a spiky kind of pattern.
Right. Look, Matt, I'm sure we've got a lot of questions, but we are a bit
great.
running
I'll
out
include
of
a
time.
link, my contact info if people want to follow up.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys ask Matt whatever you want to ask, and he, as you see, he is like super happy to answer your questions. Right. Thank you very much for sharing your information, your presentation, and it was really, really great to have you with us today. Stay safe.
Thanks, Outriders.
Bye.
Wow, so many inspiring examples. The next one is another positive example response that is happening in Italy. So in mid-March, as the COVID-19 cases increased in Italy, hospitals face a shortage of beds, and the founders of an Italian startup in Lombardy decide to help. Good morning, Cristian, Fracassi, and Alessandro Romaioli. Hope I said fine.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So how are you? Well, tell us, how did you start to collaborate with a hospital? How was it?
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Cristian Fracassi. I am a civil engineer, and here near with me there is Alessandro Romaioli, that is a mechanical engineer. We both work in Isinnova, that is a small research center here in Italy. And just about 1 month ago, we was called by an hospital that was in need of a Venturi valve. In the second slide, you can see it. So it's this object. It's a valve that connects a ventilator with the mask. So the hospital had the ventilator, had the mask, but without this object, it cannot use them. So we try to recreate them in the less time possible. So in about 2 hours, we rebuild it in 3D. We print it with 4 3D printer. And after that, the day after, we were in hospital to test them and to understand if it works or not. After some hours, the first doctor says us, okay, it works well, give me 100. So we come back in our office and we start again to print. We made 100 pieces in about 24 hours. And in Sunday, we give them all to the hospital. In about 3 days, we make all the project. After that, some journal wrote about us, and a doctor called whose name is Renato Favero, called us telling us that probably in the next few days, also other objects in the hospital will be in need.
Would have need the same difficult to find a way.
So he spoke about to convert a snorkeling mask into a respiratory one. So he come here he make us a lesson about how it works, the breathing, how it is the lungs
functioning, how the components work with each other, and so on. And after the lesson of more or less 3 hours, we had at least the basic of the knowledges we had to know to try to project a valve that changed the final use of a breathing of a snorkeling mask to be used as a assisted ventilation mask. And so we start designing the valve in a 3D way, and after that we start printing in a 3D way, and we tested them in a few hospitals to understand how the oxygen flux works inside it, and how was diffused the air and oxygen inside the mask, and if the pressure was correct or not. And we developed this project with the valve that has to be attached on the top of it. And of course, all the doctors were, and in the first moment, were skeptical about it, because they didn't expect a snorkeling mask could have worked in to fight against coronavirus, because they told us, yes, of course, but we are not playing games here. We are trying to save lives. And when we convinced one of them to test it, it was surprised, and he went on the phone and tell all his colleagues, guys, we have a solution to our problem of ventilators, because we really have a solution to can find a commercial product, and we all have this kind of solution, or let's say weapon to fight against coronavirus, because we can treat all we have with the correct solution. And of course, we always said that is an emergency product. Of course, it's a snorkeling mask and not a biomedical mask. But in case of emergency, if the hospital couldn't treat the patient in a proper way, they can use the mask, because it really works properly, also if it's not certified.
Yes, and after we know about the hospital that it works, we decided to do two things. The first one was to create a patent to prevent that some companies, big companies, can speculate on it. And the second thing we have done is to share our all the file on our website, so for free. So everyone in the world can use it. At the beginning, also because we are a small company, we have only 6 3D printer, so we were not able to do a lot of pieces. So we prefer to share with all the people, and after 1 or 2 days, we had about 2060 makers all over the world that want to help us to print them. Just imagine that after 2 weeks, we have about 2.5 million download of that file, and it was incredible. We don't imagine at the beginning that this project can
grow as it is.
Yes. And nothing. After some days, some companies try to make injection molding to create the same project, but in a fastest way. So now in Italy, they are giving them for free to hold the hospital. And about 50 countries in the world, Brazil, Canada, Tunisia, Turkey, Morocco, Germany, France, Spain, Ireland, Uzbekistan wrote us, Philippines, Singapore. So we had a lot of requests, and we are still helping them, because even if in Italy the situation is a bit better, because now we are decreasing the death and the new cases, in other countries the crisis is on the top or is growing. So we are helping them to just to know them the project, to understand them how it works, all the medical information about what is the percentage of the oxygen inside the tube or the pressure inside the mask and so on. And we have about 14 different kind of Charlotte valve, because we had the first one, we shared the file for free, so a lot of hospital changes a bit the form or the use of them for in some cases for about as a personal protection way.
As a DPI.
Yes, in Italy is a DPA. And also NATO, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Mercedes print this kind of valve. So we were just we connected a lot of people, and I think that is about all we have done. The last thing we are trying to do is another
project.
It's another project. And because in some country, in the poorest country in the world, for example, Congo and so on, they haven't the possibility to print the valve because they haven't the 3D printer.
They don't have a big connection of 3D printer, 3D maker. And so we are trying to help giving them the 3D printer for free, and try to acknowledge them and try to teach them how to use in the proper way the 3D printer, to try to help as many hospitals as possible. Also trying to let them know that, of course, 3D printer is not the right biomedical way to treat patients, but of course, in case of emergency, they can really be useful. And so, yeah, we are trying to create a sort of connection between makers and the poorest country to help them as we can.
Yes.
Wow, yes, Hanna, sorry, are you muted?
Are you?
Hanna.
Sorry,
yeah,
we don't.
I was muted actually. I was muted because I didn't want to make this excited. Okay. I was excited and didn't want to make these comments. Anyway, right. Well, thank you.
Just one thing. The name of the valve is Charlotte. That is the name of my wife. So someone wrote me to
understand which was the cause of the name of Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was actually me. Like, we had a chat with you, Cristian, and I just from your bio, I understood that it's your wife's name, and it just struck me because, well, you wouldn't name something that is not important for you in the same way. You know what I mean? Like, it was really I appreciated it a lot. So it just shows how personal it became for you. And that's why I wanted to highlight it a bit. But thank you for your presentation. Look, can you maybe talk a little bit more about like that maker movement in Italy? It's been like really supportive during the pandemic. So can you
yes.
explain?
At the beginning, the first day we need about 500 masks for the local hospital in our city, and we ask some makers on Facebook, on LinkedIn, to help us to print the valve, because we need 500 pieces. After 2 days, we receive about 2,500 pieces, because from not only from the
local area,
but also from the Germany, from Tunisia, and other country help us to print the first pieces. After that, we decide to give them not only for our only hospital, but also the hospital near us. And we create a Google Doc where all the makers in the world can just fulfill it, and so all the hospital can connect directly with them. So a lot of hospitals now, also now in Italy, are calling them and creating something about different, because for example they need another kind of valve, or they need another pieces, and the maker directly is in contact with the hospital.
Yeah, and what I find also exciting, like all these 3D printed elements, they've just spread around the world. In Belarus, where I'm living, there is also a do-it-yourself community who is doing the same, and I just find it like super helpful that these snorkeling masks can be just can be turned into something that is going to help patients. And oh, you've got right. Yes. You've got the presentation.
Complete object.
Yeah, because the goal of the breathing machine used as sub-intensive care of the patients is to keep a higher pressure inside the breathing camera than outside. So this high pressure keep the lungs open always, and it prevent the lungs collapsion on themselves. And so the only goal of the mask is to keep the pressure inside the breathing area higher. And so we have been able to do that because, of course, using a snorkeling mask, it has to be really a close volume. Otherwise, the water can go inside the mask. And so that's the real good functioning of the mask to be used as a assisted ventilation mask. To keep the air closed between your face, of course, and the outside atmosphere. And so we were able to connect the mask to the oxygen pipe. In this way, the oxygen inflow creates a higher pressure because it goes on and on continuously. And on the outside, it has a filter to the pollution of the air of the patient. And of course, a kind of valve that keep the pressure inside the mask and can also be set to obtain the pressure that you want.
Right. Lola, go ahead.
No, I would like to ask you, before the pandemic, how did you use this 3D printing in your startups? What did you do before all this pandemic arrived to Italy and Europe?
Yes, our company is a sort of research center. So we are used to create a new project, new idea, develop ideas. So we are used to use 3D printing to create prototypes, models, to test them before creating the real product. So it is why we have 6 3D printers, different of them. Some by resin, about someone other about the filament, and we use for them.
Yeah, it's our work to build prototypes and test them. So we were kind of prepared to do that, but of course not in such a short time and not for such a huge project has to stay alive. So that's what was a point that we were not prepared for. So we were really proud to have done something that can be really useful.
And people who is in other country, you said many people contact you. How do they can get this open source prototype? So how can they get it? They have to go to your website, or how does it work?
It's a sort of matching between request and offer, because on our website we have a sort of Google form in which there are subscribed all the makers that offer to print for free those pieces, not only in Italy but of course all around the world. And so in this way, an hospital, for example, in Brazil, that need pieces for of course treat patients, it can go on our website and try to search which 3D maker is as close as possible to Brazil, and try to find of course, search by country and by city, and try to contact them, because we also put I don't know, a phone number or a mail number to try to connect them. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I think now I can. Yeah.
Okay.
We've actually got a comment from our Spanish colleague. He is going to present later today, and he actually says that there is a similar project in Spain, and they collaborate with Italy. So
good.
Yes, so I guess it's your kind of work, guys. Yeah, well, I mean that's been great. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for doing this. That's a really. It seems like it's a simple solution, but it's really useful. It's really helpful, and it saves a lot of lives. So it's an honor to have you today, and thank you for finding time. And yeah, I mean you guys are superheroes. Well, right. So thanks a lot. Stay safe and healthy yourselves.
You too. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Right. So we have Vasco, I believe. Is he already here?
Yes.
All right. So I will just kind of present him and tell you guys who he is while he's joining. So Vasco Kranevski, I hope I pronounced it well. He's from Skopje, North Macedonia, and he's CEO of Next Sense, which is a software company in North Macedonia based in Skopje. And that company, okay, I'm here because now it's suddenly silent. Right, and that company developed a contact tracing app, which is the first app of this kind in the Western Balkans. And I'm sure Vasco is ready presenting. That's great. Vasco, can you hear me? Oh, because he's muted. All right. The only problem, Vasco, that you are muted at the moment, and I can't. All right. So she's just joining us in a second. Okay. Right. Hi. Hello. Good to have you.
Good to have you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thanks for joining.
Okay. I will share my screen.
This mysterious voice is Jakub. Right.
The voice is fine?
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Okay. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to share our project that we did. It's all about contact tracing technology to support health professionals in the effort to break the chain of spread of COVID-19. So it started in the middle of March when the initial measures to contain the spread of the virus were issued by the country, and then a team of individuals within our company, highly motivated to support and to see what we can do in terms of technology, come up with an idea that we need to follow some of the world examples to innovate and to create a contact tracing technology that will assist the health workers in the process of tracing the potential exposures to COVID-19. We all know that the world is now facing completely different way of living. We have social distancing, travel restrictions, curfew hours, isolations, quarantine measures. So this is quite heavy hitting the overall normal life, but also the economy. There is a huge economic slowdown. There is complete industries that are brought to a halt. So there is a big pressure from the community that we need to go back to the normal way of living, but this cannot be done without protecting or issuing different kind of measures that will protect the overall society of new outbreak. And we have seen also the press release of the European Union, recommendations of the World Health Organization last week, that societies going back to the normal will get prepared, will need to be prepared to do that. So the way to do that, one of the recommendations is to implement contact tracing technology that will help detect potential exposures if someone is detected as positive. And this is what exactly we are doing. And we wanted to contribute to the society, but not just to North Macedonia, but to anyone. We are donating this application to any national health authority that is interested to implement. And anyone that is interested to implement, we are open to donate, to discuss, to help them implement and put it into life for their country. The overall idea and the goal behind the project was to develop a tool that will be assisting the health professionals into detecting people that were potentially exposed. So we were talking to epidemiologists to understand what is the contact tracing that they're doing now without the use of technology. So basically, after someone is diagnosed positive, they're interviewing the person to identify whether the person has been in contact with someone. So he needs to list all the people that he was in contact with for the past 14 days. The distance that is considered is less than 2 meters of physical contact, and continuous exposure of up to 20 minutes. So it's considered that if you're just passing by a cashier desk in the market, it's not sufficient to get exposed. But if you are in contact on a meeting or you're discussing to someone, then you're potentially exposed. And then consider the period that someone that has been exposed in the 14 days can be considered as a potential threat to the surroundings and needs to go into isolation or for testing is the other parameter. But also all the privacy data concerns, because now dealing with all this personal data, who have been in contact with, where was this and who else was there, etc., is basically sharing my private data with the health professionals. But as I'm doing this during the interview of the non-technological tool to do that, I need to be able to share this data with the health professionals in a, I would say, protected environment that they can be used only by the health professionals. A lot of challenges during the design of the application was done. So basically we were considering whether to make it anonymous or not anonymous. So we made the both solutions. So the application can be deployed in completely anonymous way, meaning that when I'm installing my application and start using it, I don't need to identify myself by name or by phone on anywhere or anything that will connect to my personality. But also there is a way to implement the application, as we did in North Macedonia, is to use a phone registration. This is, we consider this to be more effective, because by registering your phone, when I'm sharing my data to the health authorities, I'm giving a contact so someone can contact me. In the anonymous way of doing it, the only way they can communicate with me is through push notifications over phone. So there is no regular communication between the health professionals and the one being diagnosed as positive, or the ones that are potentially exposed. So the only way to communicate with them would be through push notifications. And you can consider yourself that you receive a push notification by health authorities saying you were potentially exposed to COVID-19 without sharing information that you were exposed to a specific person, and then you're instructed to go for testing or for isolation. We saw that this would not be very effective within the population, that they will consider this very seriously and act upon it. So that's why we implemented a not anonymous, but the application is available in both. And then consideration whether this should be a centralized or decentralized solution. So whether the data about the contact between the two devices using the application should be exchanged directly or through a server-based solution. So we choose to be decentralized, so we are not relying to any central solution on that. And it's completely private. So two devices will exchange data and no one will know this encounter unless I'm diagnosed positive. So we were considering whether to use GPS or Bluetooth technology. We know the concerns about people being tracked, about their location, where they move. So we immediately considered Bluetooth technology. First of all, because of not tracking people and their movement, but also because of the precision of this protocol, especially in the indoor space. So GPS can hardly enable tracking of location and distance indoors. So this could be also a big negative way. And also what technology and what features we should implement, but the underside to make it usable for the general public. So we have among the whole population people that are very skillful with mobile and smartphones, but we have a huge part of the population that would not be very experienced using smartphone apps. So we consider that we need to build an app that will be zero interaction with the user. As soon as I install and activate, the app will work by itself. So it will not require any user engagement in order to track potential contacts. But also considered how to make it future-proof. So yes, this is a local application working for the domestic market for the North Macedonia implementation, specifically Stop Corona app. But what if someone is using this app and then starts traveling in a month from now? And then what if he's been in communication with another app, contact tracing app? How do we exchange those? How do we future-proof to be cross-border contact tracing? So if a potential exposure is been done, then you can contact through the other health authorities, also other potentially exposed contacts, so they can be interviewed or giving some measures to protect themselves through that exposure. As I said, minimal technology, minimal user activity using Bluetooth and using Bluetooth low energy protocol, which is considered that is not consuming battery almost at all. Our statistics says that for a 24-hour use of the application, your phone battery will be impacted less than 1%. So typically around 0.5% of your battery will be only drained, even if you use it 24 hours activated Bluetooth. Of course, complete data privacy, so the personal information of the exchange of contacts with any other device using this app will be only stored locally, will not be shared to anyone without explicit user's consent. So there is no share of data during normal use of the application. And of course, even in case I'm diagnosed positive and I'm asked to share my contact details with other potential exposed persons, then this is only shared to health authorities with a strict access to this data, with a strict protocol how to use this data. So how does it work? Basically, if I'm using the app, if I'm installing, using the installed app, then whenever I'm in the public transport, in the office, in the market, having a meeting, or at home, everyone that is using this application exchange temporary application IDs between themselves through the Bluetooth protocol, and this is stored in my local phone storage. And this stays there for the log of these contacts and encounters stays within the last 14 days. And it's not being shared to anyone, it's just kept to my phone. What is kept into my phone does not have any personal details about the other persons, but just their temporary application IDs. So I cannot identify who I have been in contact with, but I just have a temporary list codes. And in a case a person is being diagnosed as positive on the test for COVID-19, then that person is asked to share his contact details from his app to the health authorities. He is given a PIN. He is using this PIN in the process to share this data, and this package of these anonymized contacts are then sent to the server managed by the health authority. And then only the health authority have the access of this anonymized data. They can do epidemiologic analysis about the duration of the exposure, date of the exposure, not the exact time, but just the date, and the distance of exposure. And then to selected few of those contacts that they consider that were at higher risk, they can give specific instructions. They can send a push notification, they can send an SMS, they can call them and tell them that they need to go into isolation for a certain period, or they should report for testing, or any other active measure that they would like to present. As I said, the use of application is very simple. So you just need to register, in our case, your phone number, or you can work without the registration of phone number, depending on the deployment. And then as soon as I activate it with the code that is delivered through SMS, my application is already active. And it stays active all the time. It stays active in the background. The only, I would say, down part on the Apple devices is that the Apple does not work in the background to send, to advertise through low Bluetooth energy your temporary application ID. So the only way to do this and to make sure is that the application is in the foreground, or if some other device is nearby, like an Android device, sending and advertising their temporary ID, we detect this, and then we send a push notification to the user saying, you're in close contact with another user using the app. Please activate your app so you can share your data to the other user, so they can log your contact into their personal store. As you can see, the log is very anonymous. So it says an alias, this is a temporary application ID, the distance, and the duration of the contact. In case I'm diagnosed positive, then I'm asked by the health authorities to share my data. I share my data using a special send data button within the application. I need to confirm that I consent to share my data, and then I'm asked to enter the PIN that was previously sent to me by the health authorities. And then as soon as I share this data, this is given back to the backend application of managed by the health authorities, so they can analyze date, duration, and distance of exposure. This backend application has specific tools for the health workers, how they can communicate with the patient, with the potential exposed persons, and send some instructions to them. Of course, there is a public website that is supporting, informative public website with frequently asked questions, so everyone can use this web page to inform about the functionality, or if support questions to address, they can go through this. Both the mobile app, both the public website, it's localized to all the local languages plus English. So everyone can easily use and implement and use the application. What is the benefit? We have a rapid identification of potentially exposed persons due to the contact with an infected person. We have a tool for the health authorities so they can prevent the chain of spreading and break the chain if they immediately contact persons that were exposed to this person, so they can immediately set measures for them and test, so they can rapidly react. And we, as users of the application, basically we are giving our social contribution to the society so we can protect others if we are found positive quite fast. So basically it's a solidarity approach in using the app. And as many people are using, the more we can protect and potentially even save lives by early detection and early breaking the chain of spread. I once again emphasize it's full privacy protection, so there is no way that personal data can be misused in the system. And once again, to emphasize, we are donating this technology to anyone that is interested to use it.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, that's been a great presentation. Thank you, Vashka. Look, I'm really happy that you addressed the privacy question. I think that issue, it's very important, everywhere, I guess, for everyone. So it's really useful to see that how you guys are doing that, and that it's anonymous, it's decentralized. It all looks very it looks great. But let me ask you, I think it wasn't mentioned, I believe that every success, of every digital solution, is impacted by the user's willingness to use it. So yes. How many downloads do you guys have? How many people are using it? What's the impact?
So in the first 4 or 5 days of use, there were 50,000 users of the app, which is approximately 2.5% of the overall population or maybe say 3% of the population living in the country at the moment, because we have a lot of immigration. And it's considered that it's approximately between 2.5% to 3% within the first 4 or 5 days. There were a lot of debates and a lot of discussions about the data privacy, how the application is used. There were misinformation that government might misuse the application, but the source code is given to the government. The government is organizing expert review of the source code, so they can go and check the source code and the way the application is functioning. But I'm once again emphasizing there is no misuse of data. Even in case that users are just using the app to trace contacts and they never found positive, there is no way their data of their contacts with anyone is accessed by anyone else. This is stored only on their phone. And only in case they are found positive, they share these contacts to the authorities. But this is the same that happens when they're interviewed even without the use of technology. When an epidemiologist is interviewing a positive person of corona, they're asking them who you were in contact with, so they can contact them and then send them with some active measures, testing, isolation, quarantine, or whatever. So this replicates the same way it's functioning as an application to the ordinary way of work of the epidemiologist in case of detection of positive.
Yeah, I totally get it, but there is, I guess, a difference between trust in the medical system, in the healthcare system in general, and trust the government and technology. So that's why I guess that's still a kind of important issue. Look, may I just quickly ask you? So, how do you, contact tracing sounds very scary for someone who might not be aware of it, how it works and so on. How do you guys convince people to download your app? And is it actually fair for some older generations, because they might not use technology or use technology less, less frequently, let's say?
Yeah. So one of the key messages, starting from the latest comment, one of the messages that was sent in the promotion and during the presentation of the initial presentation, but also communication channels that are done through the PR campaign, is help the elders and people with less technological knowledge to activate the app. So basically, it's considered that someone else can, in 2 clicks, activate the app for their use. Concerning the concerns or whether the government is misusing the app or people, shall they install or not install the app, of course there is concern, and there are group of people that will maybe never install this app. But concerns are valid, but they can be checked, and this concern can be addressed. The question is how willing we are to contribute to the society in the fight of COVID-19. Whether we can give 1% of our battery phone per day, trust the government that they are not tracing our private contacts, and contribute to the fight, because this is very important. It's not important today. It's going to be very important in 6 months from now, when we hopefully completely see that it's completely clean, then there is no pandemic and not even epidemic, but there are no positive cases anymore. But then all of a sudden someone travels somewhere and comes back from the travel, and then he's detected positive. How fast and how rapid we can intervene to lower the cluster of potentially exposed people and address this fast. This is the reason why we need to keep using this app, not for today when everyone is working from home, being isolated and not very in contact with others, but when we start living the normal life, starting traveling. Before this, I was traveling every week. Now I'm not in the travel for the last 6 weeks. This cannot keep up like this for a long time. And then when everything comes up back to normal, we need to have the tools to protect. And this is our contribution by individually using this app, contributing to everyone's safety.
Right. And just like very, very quickly, how do you ensure that also kind of the elder generations, older people have access to technology? What's your take on that?
So the smartphone penetration in the country is extremely high. So we saw the statistics, talked to the telecoms, the smartphone penetration is 90+%. So basically there's certain population numbers that are not using a smartphone. Addressing the the use of the technology by those owning a smartphone is that we address the public that they should help the elders and they should help their family members, the one that do not understand technology, to activate the app. And this is the only way.
Right. Well, I just thought that it's important to mention. So thank you.
Of course.
Thank you very much for sharing your opinion. We are a bit ahead of time, so unfortunately we have to finish that. But thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for telling us your story and how you guys did it. That was really, really useful, and that was really interesting. So keep up the good work. Stay safe. Stay safe and healthy. Bye bye.
I congratulate you to the festival. Bye bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye. Right. So we have our next speaker from Estonia, and her name is Kai Isand, if I pronounce it well.
Exactly. Hello, hello.
Hi. Kai, I'm sure you will introduce yourself, but I know that you used to run and you are still in the advisory board of Garage 48, which is one of the oldest startup communities in Estonia, if I'm right. And I know that you guys have been to Minsk, and you've organized this hackathon in Minsk in Belarus, and the app that resulted from it, Masquerade, was later sold to Facebook. So that's a great success. And you, Kai, you're organizing this series of hackathons with Global Hack, right? So tell us a little bit more about that, what you're doing to hack the crisis.
Yeah, hello, and thank you for the introduction. This is one of the success stories. It seems so far away already, or far long time ago. But yeah, so in times of crisis and what we are doing now, we do have to also rethink how we are doing our events, and these online hackathons are definitely the kind of outcome of that as well. So I'll tell you the story of Hack the Crisis, and I will show you a few just a few slides as well, so it will make it easier for me, or a few links actually that I have here. Do you see it?
I see your Facebook account.
Yeah, I'm showing a few links actually, which are just to show what we have done then over the past month or so. So when we're talking about Hack the Crisis movement, it actually just started in Estonia with the first event on the 13th of March, and we kicked it off fairly quickly. I remember it was a Friday, and we woke up to a morning call just to kind of go over, just ideas what we can do right now for the Estonian tech community. And then the hackathon idea came on the table, and it was really not a yes or no question. It was more about just yes, let's do it when, and in 6 hours, then the event was already happening, and it was online. So this is the event. We didn't really know what is going to happen afterwards. So at that point, it was just, let's do something for our community. Let's get people together to brainstorm ideas and new services. So what came out was the Hack the Crisis. And at that point, we didn't even put Estonia there, because we didn't know that there is going to be so many countries that will follow. But that's what happened. So after the hackathon in Estonia, there was many hackathons that followed. So I'm showing you now the Hack the Crisis movement page. We have 58 hackathons already that have happened all over the world. We made this decision from day one that we're going to open it up, make it available for everyone. We wrote the guidelines. We opened up a Slack group for the organizers. So we just got so much feedback from, first of all, obviously our neighbors, like our friends from Latvia and Poland. They just, launched their events a few days after us. And then the requests just kept on coming in. So, really the whole world has been kind of affected by this. And Matt beforehand was also talking about, civic tech, and then mentioned a lot of these hackathons actually. So, all these platforms in different communities to kind of come up with new ideas, and really just have a place to, kind of feel that you're part of the solution as well. So when we were working on this and, you know, just reaching, like all the organizers reaching out to us, a lot of our mentors helping out, you know, just building this kind of movement, we quickly realized we want to do something bigger as well. So the Global Hackathon was just like a very logical step after that. So when we brought together over 12,000 people, ideas that were created, and just the message that that was shared. So then, yeah, the Global Hackathon happened from the 9th to 12th of April. It was a big success. I would say that there were two things that really, you know, were like a success for me, or why do I think it really needed to happen. So we activated over 12,000 people. That means, you know, people that that could kind of take action even when they're sitting at home at their kitchen table, and they could feel that they can do also something about the crisis. Right? We had participants from over 98 countries. We were truly global. I think it's a unique moment and time in the world where we can say that we're all kind of moving towards the same goal, and really, you know, kind of joining together. So just having those people activated and feeling that they can be part of the solution, I think was a massive success. The other thing was that we carried the message to millions of people, right? We really wanted to have not only like the tech community or like our own circle involved in this. We wanted this to be kind of wider and have this message of hope. So we were really, you know, like it was an honor to have all of these people really to join in the hackathon. So first of all, it was our own president, Toomas Hendrik Ilves, so former president of Estonia, who joined in as we call them inspirational leaders. So they were the ones carrying the message that there is hope in the world. They were gathering the people, calling everybody to join in. And after that, we had many people. So from the tech community, we had Sam Altman, who is the former president of Y Combinator. We had Reid Hoffman, who's the co-founder of LinkedIn. So the tech community side, but also people from totally other fields. So Garry Kasparov, who is a world-renowned chess player. And then we had the European Space Agency astronaut joining us. So it was really a strong message that they carried. And then we also added music, which I think is always the best kind of platform to carry messages of hope. So we had Erika Badu giving the hackers and the kind of wider audience a concert. So, you know, these two things I think were really the success of this event. And then where the idea came from, we so if you take a step back and think of the elements that really needed to be in place for this to happen, we had. So, you know, we've been discussing this, and it feels that it's logical for us that it happened in Estonia, because we've been working, you know, with these elements for a long time. So it just didn't happen out of the blue. So I have to mention Accelerate Estonia, which is a government program that we started about a year ago. It is acceleration and innovation program inside the government. So that means we have been working with the, you know, kind of getting the government and the people working there ready to join in and to engage with these kind of startup projects. From the Estonian hackathon, we had 30 teams, and about 10 of them are already working right now and are live. And they are definitely all of them working with the government and having the support that they need. So this is one of the things we had in place. We have, and you already mentioned beforehand, right, the Garage 48 background. So yes, we have already 10 years of hackathon organizing experience. We've been all over the world. You mentioned Masquerade here as well, which is one of the big success stories. So we had a very strong kind of like community and people behind hackathons and the mindset in general. And then the third, what we have is definitely the the startup community that is, strong, that is working closely together. So when we launched it on Friday and started calling different startup founders and mentors, then they really just were ready to clear up their weekend schedules and didn't just jump in as anything that needed to be. So either mentors or supporters, whatever. So this is basically what happened, and we are joking about this, that this was a hackathon for ourselves, right? So from idea to event in like 3 weeks, basically. So when we talk about the global hackathon, it was 50 volunteers that were working here in Estonia on this event. We also had 6 organizing teams in different countries all over the world. So there was a lot of volunteering hours that went into making this happen. So yeah, for me, really the central heartbeat of this event are the people that put in so much time and actual hours into making this happen. So the team was really talented and passionate behind this, and that's where the participants came along as well, right? So when we talk about the global hack, the difference between maybe the crisis hackathons, where we were just kind of, we wanted to help the community, so it was just really about immediate crisis response. But whereas with the global hackathon, we really wanted to shift the focus to a little bit more kind of longer term solutions. So we had several tracks, several topics that we were covering. You can see that still the crisis response and mental health and wellness were the kind of most popular topics.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, guide us through. That's very interesting. That's very cool. Tell us more. Also, maybe tell us more about projects if you want to share some of these ideas.
So the top 3 ones. So where we got to was the top 30, really. So from each of the tracks, we got the top 3, and the top 30. You can go and see them as well on our website if you are interested in all. Introduce the top 3. The Suncrafter who won, they're a very cool team because they are an existing team or existing technology that they had before, and then they just had to rethink it very quickly to fit the crisis situation. So it's kind of
wait a second, you're muted. You are muted at the moment. Let me see what can be done about that.
Yes, back again. I don't know why. Anyway, so Suncrafter, what I talked about, they use UV light to disinfect hands and equipment, whatever they want and need, and they're doing it fully sustainably, right, using the solar energy. When we talk about the second place, the team Act on Crisis, then they might be one of my favorite ones because they are in the mental health track, and I think it's one of the topics that's probably is one of the most important, but I'm afraid that it might just not get as much attention as some of the other topics, right? So I'm happy that we had mental health kind of focused team in the top 3. So they are building this platform where you can get psychological help depending on then your culture, background, language, and whatever you want to put in there, then you can be matched together with someone that can help you and that you feel comfortable with.
Oh wow! So is it like a global platform for like everybody, and everybody can, let's say, apply and find a doctor?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So wow. just for everyone to, we are connected as ever. We have all the technology just at our home in front of our screens. So yeah, just fun.
Amazing. Unmute yourself, please, again. Sorry,
I'm
it's
really
not on purpose.
myself really. Okay, so the top three. So the third place was a team called Material Mapper. They are working also in a kind of like a longer term plan, and we also had before the crisis, right? This goal to start reusing like materials. So they are mapping the kind of all the leftover materials from construction, and then trying to find the other party that would reuse it, right? So they're kind of mixing and matching together. So like they're like a shop for reusing materials.
Yeah, I guess so. They kind of connect. Yeah, leftovers. Okay, got it. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm right now in talks with all the teams, top 30 teams. Most of them have said that yes, they are going to go forward with their ideas. Some of them have very, obvious problems, like a few Indian teams that say that they have the national lockdown. So working on their idea means that they cannot get sensors, they cannot register a company, they really can't do anything. So. But the energy is really high with all the teams. We're trying to now match them together with all our partners, just finding them the right mentorship or the people that they need. So yeah, I'm really hopeful that these teams will live on, that they will find the help that they need. We will put all energy into supporting them in that sense.
Okay, sorry. Go
no,
ahead. Did you want to?
Yeah, you can ask.
Okay. Well, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing this. You've addressed a bit that issue, like the challenge you have from India, right? If you want to share more of those, that would be great. But also, I was wondering, how do you guys have any tools, like any mechanism to help those people who are facing, whatever challenge they have?
So yeah, we are actually trying to put these tools in place. At the moment, we are, like I said, putting more of our energy into building this kind of like an acceleration program afterwards, and not building it from scratch ourselves, but just kind of understanding how we can facilitate different partners to come together. So at the moment, we're working with the European Commission actually to put together matchathon event. So coming from a hackathon to a matchathon, just to understand which teams are still active and which partners can be then matched together with them. So going forward with this, but also wanting to understand who are the partners that can offer funding, who can offer mentoring, and so on. So yeah, we are being a volunteer-led team. We're trying to just put our resource and energy into this one event right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I think there's obviously challenges, but I wrote down some learnings as well that I can share with you, which I think are kind of important. And this is why we are actually determined to actually go ahead with Global Hack as well, and not just leave it as a one-time thing. So really the power of people coming together, that was the amazing thing about this event, right? So I talked about it before. We are connected more than ever. We have the technology in our hands. So, if we can recreate that feeling of being part of the solution and actually being an individual at home, but actually, making things happen, then this is a big success for us. We are maybe in Estonia a little bit, we're lucky that we have a big kind of startup community, and the culture is spreading quite widely. I think this needs to be spread all over the world, right? Like this startup mindset, these hackathon methods, better tools for people to kind of come in and use the same methods and just to learn about these kind of agile ways of coming up with new ideas, testing them rapidly, and then making it happen, right? So this is another learning. And again, we are, I think, in a beneficial place where we have this deep connection with the government. I think this is something that the Global Hack definitely wants to facilitate and kind of, scale to other countries as well, that there needs to be readiness from the public sector side to come and work with these ideas. So this is another thing that we will kind of add to our mission. And this is what I talked about before as well. It's just the message of hope, right? And I don't think it's only about the crisis situation, but in general as well, that we actually, we are here, and when we come together, there is things that we can save, and the world is a great place. So the Global Hack definitely will, hack the future, hack the ideas, and just, kind of see opportunities rather than problems. And all the kind of winning teams really represented this, that, there's new ways of how we will learn, how we will work, how we will communicate, how we will play, and so on. So I think the Global Hack carries that message all in all. So this is what's next for us, really, like creating a whole world of activists, like individuals that want to be part of the solution, who want to share ideas, connect with the whole world. That's
amazing. Well, amazing. I really love it, and thank you for sharing your story, and it's really, really inspiring. I guess what you guys are doing is like amazing. You mentioned like those 12,000 people, like 58 countries. It's just unimaginable, I believe. And Estonia is known for being very kind of ahead of digital solutions and e-government and all that. So it's a great place, I guess. So thank you again, Kai. It was great to have you. Hope to see you again, and good luck with your work.
Yeah, thank you for having us, and looking forward to the next speakers.
Absolutely. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, Kai, and welcome, Jonan. I see already that we have the next speaker with us. He's from Spain. Unfortunately, Spain, along with Italy and France, is one of the European countries most affected by the pandemic. It has forced the country to take unprecedented steps, such as transforming an exhibitor center into a hospital. The next speaker is a Spanish journalist and also a former patient and survivor who was in that giant makeshift hospital in IFEMA Convention Center. Good morning, Jonan Basterra. I don't know if you can hear me. I think you are muted right now. Yeah, Jonan, we cannot hear you.
Okay, try now.
Yeah, perfect. Sorry. So, good morning.
Good morning, Hanna. Hola, Lola.
Hola, Jonan. So, before continuing in Spanish, tell us, firstly, how do you feel right now? How are you? Because I think you're already at home, right?
I'm at home. I could work even if I have work. I could even now go out to the street like everybody in Spain in lockout moment. But my health is perfect. It's like before all of this.
So tell us, how long have you been in the hospital, and how was your experience in this convention center that was transformed in a hospital? How was?
I have been in a hospital for 11 days, one in a regular hospital, in Ramón y Cajal Hospital, 1 day, and 10 in IFEMA New Hospital.
Okay. How was there? Because I guess, everybody goes to a normal hospital, but suddenly everything happened.
Maybe if you run my presentation, I could tell you, because I think it's very clear. So please.
Okay,
next.
So Jakub, can you tell? Yeah.
This is me at the IFEMA hospital. Okay. This is the distribution. It's a video. It's not running, but okay. This is the distribution. Go next, please. This is the distribution of the night pavilion. We have 15 areas for the patients in white, with numbers with 1 to 15. Every area has a name of a town of Madrid. Okay, my area was the 15, Fuenlabrada. We have also 8 ECUs, special care units. Only one was working. And also we have 4 areas for the medical staff and in dark gray, A, B, C, D, with the name of football, Spanish soccer or football stadiums in Spain, like Santiago Bernabéu, Wanda Metropolitano, or Riazor. And this is the distribution of the areas in night pavilion. Please go next. Also a video that is not running, but okay, it's the same. Jakub, try to hit the spacebar. No? Okay. No, it's not running. Okay, it's the same. Here you can see the control. It's a video, but okay. Here is the control of my area. Each control about 50 patients. And around this area, we have the distribution of 6 beds, and in groups of 6 beds or 8 beds. Okay, go next. For instance, this is a typical distribution of 8 beds. We could share conversation with colleagues or mates in these rooms. And it's good because in these days, you know, everybody is not in quite good mood, and this also help us. No, go next, please. Other image of a room. Next. Here also, as you can see, we have oxygen in all the beds. This is very important because 99% of the patients use oxygen or needs oxygen. So it's not only to put beds and some goods. No, it's very complicated because in the floor there is kilometers of tubes with the oxygen. Next, please. More beds, and the control at the end. Next. This is a good patient. It's me. As you can see, we have a number, and the number of our bed and our zone. And nurse is Marta, a very best nurse, taking my blood pressure. Next. This is meals. We eat very well, maybe better than in a regular hospital, because a catering company made the meals for all the patients. Go next, please. This is a patient with a nurse with the oxygen cylinder, because maybe this patient needs the oxygen to go to the bathroom. If you usually, for instance, in my case, I can take off my oxygen and go walking to the bathroom. But in this case, they decide to do walking, and sometimes they use wheelchairs. Next. This is an ICU unit. As you can see, the army is preparing all the things, because the army is one of the collective that is working in these facilities from the beginning. And in the night pavilion, only one, this one was working, and only with 8 maybe patients, because as you know, ICU units needs a lot of medical staff, and it's not for all the patients. Next. At the left, we can see the bathrooms. In IFEMA, we have the typical the facilities of IFEMA that are very, very big bathrooms, but also we have portable bathrooms from the army. This has 3 how to say, showers and 3 bathrooms. and they are very, very good. I have been in music festivals a lot of times in Europe even, and I haven't seen show this in a festival, a music festival. I would cry a lot because they are wonderful. Perfect. Next, please. This is the restaurant. It's a video, but it's okay. This is the typical restaurant of the fair that was used for preparing meals for the medical staff and for the patients. This is also very convenient because you have this infrastructure in the exhibition center of the IFEMA facilities. Next, please. This is a library because one of the nurses, afterwards he's working all the night. He bring in all these books and magazines, okay? And it was amazing because we have the first library only in my area, and at the end, 3 days later, they create a big one with tons of books, tons of magazines, newspapers, and even an English section with books in English, because it was amazing. I don't know how many books, but a lot of books. This is the first one, the particular one for my area, with books, magazines, etc. Next, please.
I would like to ask you, John, answering before continue, I would like to ask you, you said NARS created this library, but these books, how did she get it? They were their own
He
books?
get for his own house and a lecture club or something like this. Okay, a reading club. Okay. Some of his friends. The big one was mounted with particular or book shops donations, but this little one was only for the force of this amazing nurse. His name is Anna Ruiz. He's a very, very good nurse and amazing person. This is at the 8th of the night in Spain. As you know, we applause to the or doctors or nurses or other people working, and there in IFEMA also we applause for them. Next. This is my bed table, my table behind my bed that one night other amazing nurse put us this kind of tables made of cardboard boxes, and my things not in the floor. My telephone, my inhalator, or my things was in a table, not in the floor, because one nurse decided to put this for us. Next. Telephones was the library also things that we have for distraction. So this is the very typical stamp or a very typical photo there in IFEMA. People using their phones with video calls, with social media, with some people even watching TV or series. And the telephone was an amazing companion these days. We have plugs to recharge them in all the beds. So in this sense, this is also perfect. Next. This is me at the Spanish media as a journalist infiltrated, or as a journalist in the field of the war. I was interviewing with all the Spanish TV because with my telephone also I could get in live or make videos for these TVs. I have made about 50 or 60 interviews in all. I have talked with Sky News, with AP, with Reuters, with a lot of people, not only in Spain and not only TVs in Spain, but also worldwide. For me, it was important because the information that I gave was in first person and living the situation. And this also was very, very good for the families that are frightened because they have husband, fathers, brothers, or whatever, they are in IFEMA. And this was very important. I do for this. Next. Okay, me and Sky News. Very good interview. Next. And me at the end with well, not at the end. This is in one of the worst days, but at this moment I don't know. I have discovered that I was not so good in some days, and this is one of these because I wear an oxygen mask, not the simple way of this mask that is the typical tubes, little tubes in the nose. But I'm okay. I survived. I passed, and I'm very happy. But about all of the experience, and I'm very proud of my country, of my army, of the people that have made this field or makeshift hospital in maybe in hours, in a few days. And I'm very proud of all of them, and I'm very happy for have living this experience.
I would like to mention something that is really impressive, that someone who just left the hospital, that you, for sure, even you are so optimistic, I think you lived some moments that were good, other that wasn't. And yeah, it's really nice to hear you say thank you to the nurses. I follow you on social media, and I see that you are in touch, right, with some of the patients that are already in the hospital, with the families. How are they?
All my mates in IFEMA, they are 12 in all, because
Okay.
as I has been in TV stations, some people contact me for social media and tell, for instance, my father is there. Could you have a look? I say, no, maybe it's more important that you see him. And I use my phone, put them in video conferencing, and they see his father or whatever. And so in all, I have met 12 people. All of them are in their house right now. Okay, and I'm very happy for this. I have been in contact with him or with his family all these days until I know now that everybody is out. Remember that in IFEMA, the patients that I derived here are less serious. Okay, sometimes is you arrive less serious and get serious, but usually they go ahead and go home. Okay, and I do this because I haven't any more to do, really. And as a journalist, as a vocational journalist, you are in the place of the news. Nobody can go in. No. There is not the journalist is not allowed to go in. So I made my job. It was my way to help, because when you see that, for instance, the library, or for instance the tables, that everybody is giving more than 100%, you say, well, and what about me? For me, the way to help was telling the things and helping people to have to are in contact with his friend and with his family.
You said that you appeared in 40, 50 televisions, so I guess when you came back to your house, the neighbors suddenly thought, okay, this is Jonan. Jonan is fine. How was that back to the real life?
I don't know saying in camera, but this is a card for some of my my neighbors. First day at home, I was in TV, and when I finished the TV in La Sexta in Spain with Mame Mendizábal, suddenly the doorbell of my house sounds, and I say, "Oops, I can go out." I look for the, I don't know how to say in English, the mirilla, the little eye, and see, these are my neighbors, and say, "Sorry, I can't go out." And say, no, I know, we know. Do you have meals? Do you need something? Maybe we could make your shops? Oh, no, it's okay. I have everything. Thank you very much. And the next day, one other neighbors made me this card that telling me the same. I was not worried about my because nobody knows me without the mask. But at the end, also the TVs, I also appears in the TV with the mask, and the first time that I go out for the applause at the evening, some of my neighbors says, "Hey, I have seen you on TV." Okay, I say, "Okay, that's all for now." Okay.
Well, it's impressive, and really, and your experience and what you said. Sometimes media try to focus in not the negative, but maybe the more, I don't know, these aspects. And when you are a relative and you are in your house waiting for a patient, it's really important to have this other point of view, a person who is living there like a journalist, but also like a patient, and all these positive things that happen in the library.
I agree with this, because also I have discovered that, as you say, only the negative things are telling in the news. That is not it's normal, okay? But I was telling, for instance, in coronavirus we have three big numbers. The great big number is the people that has get contagious, okay? There is a very bad and very sad number, that is the people that dead, okay, and it's very, very sad. But there is another big number, that is the people that recover, okay, and in the newspapers and in the TV station, they are not talking about these people, and most of the people that get coronavirus survive and pass. And this is important to tell to the people, because people say, "Oh my God, my whatever father, whatever, has get the illness, is going to die." Maybe not. He is not an old person. He has in a bad health, in a good health. Sorry, he could survive. And the most of the people that get the virus survive. And this, and I was surprised, because nobody's telling this. Okay, I'm going to tell this.
I totally agree with you, Jonan. And also today, that is a celebration day because it's a superhero day, but also because we are launching this project that the name is Radar. And we are a team of reporters in different parts of the world, searching, looking for positive responses. And it's amazing that, we found like 300 because we started like some weeks ago, but there are really, really nice initiatives happening around. And you see that nobody talk about it, that they appear in local media. And for sure, the challenges are important to cover, but also all these things that can inspire other people in other countries. Yes, Hanna, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was going to support you, Lola, that actually, like, it helps us as well. It's not about just kind of reporting that everything is good, because it's not. But we have to give some hope. We have to also show that, there is there is a reason to, I don't know, celebrate something or say something good, and it will just help us as well.
As you know, the reality is polyedric, okay? And you have bad things, regular things, and good things. But in this, we must tell everything. And for instance, you are doing this. For instance, a lot of some minutes ago, I have seen the Italian guys that made an amazing project adapting the snorkel mask. Here in Spain, also we have a project like this that is collaborating with most diving. One of the most, the best diving companies, that is an Italian company, Crowdfunds, that has donated 1,000 of masks. And here in Spain, they are sending to all the hospitals, okay? And the makers collective are collaborating a lot. And there is a lot of people doing very good things. And this is also important, because this is another contagious, and this is very positive. Now I say to in the newspaper and in the media that I get contagious of other illness, but I don't want to be well of this illness, because this is the illness of solidarity, okay? And this is amazing, because the world is giving the best of everybody, and if everybody pushes in the same direction, it's amazing that things that we could get. If everybody fight for different directions, this is not going to work. And the most important is the persons, the people. This is the most important, not the things that separate us or the things that don't help us. We must to work together.
Thank you so much, Jonan. Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you said. Yeah, it's really, as you say, contagious, this kind of positive attitude. One of these persons that also are doing really amazing things in Portugal, that I think she is with us, but I cannot see her right now, Florencia. Okay.
I'm here.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
So thank you, Jonan. We moved from Spain to Portugal, but we are nearby.
Let's go, Portugal.
Hello.
Thank you, Jonan. Bye. So, well, now is with us Florencia Salvia, I said it right, okay?
Yeah.
And she's working with the organization Crecer, and well, she's going to explain it well, but they work with homeless people, and they help some people to give them second opportunities. I think this is really important because something that we saw with this health crisis is suddenly some people that we don't see, that is, for instance, people who live in the street, they are not covered for all this aid package. They are not inside these regular norms of the society. So there are organizations like your organization in Portugal that they are working with them. So if you can tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, of course. Hello, Lola. Hello, Anna, and hello, everybody there. Perhaps I can share here my presentation. I'll try.
We are getting there, I'm sure.
Sorry.
Do you need help?
Perhaps.
Oops.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a PDF. I cannot. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, maybe
I only
maybe Florencia, we have. Maybe you can email that quickly to Cuba, to us generally, and then we can.
Or as you wish, or I can go through without the presentation, as you.
Yeah. Yeah, and now we will be just talking, and then once it arrives, we will run it.
Okay. Yeah, so tell us about this wonderful restaurant that you have in Portugal.
Yes, so
technology. Yeah.
So sorry, I thought I could just.
No, it's totally fine.
So I don't know if you know. Perhaps I'll do a quick presentation of Crecer.
Yeah.
Crecer is a communitarian NGO. We work in the street of Lisbon with mainly 3 publics. We work with people experiencing homelessness, with people that consume drugs, and also with refugees and migrants. We have 13 projects going on, and one of these projects is un restaurante, which means it's a restaurant. And so this restaurant is located in the heart of Lisbon, close to Avenida Liberdade. It's the main axis in Lisbon, and so basically it's a restaurant, like a normal restaurant where we serve Portuguese food. But at the same time, and most important, it's a social project where we integrate people that have experienced homelessness. How do we do it? We select people. We work with other organizations that also support people living in the streets, and then they are integrated. We do a training in social, technical competencies. We have several partners, of course, that help us with the work. And so after the training, they come to the restaurant. The restaurant is a physical restaurant to do an on-the-job training. It's in average 6 months. It depends on each group, but it's mostly 6 months. And so what they do there, they start working in a restaurant while at the same time being trained. And so this is a platform where they go before going to the labor market, because the main objective of the project is to integrate people in the labor market. So then we do partnerships with other restaurants that could receive our trainees in internships. And that's how it works. So another group integrates the restaurant, and we have a higher social impact. So this restaurant has been working since 1st October last year, and well, now due to the situation and all things that happened that have been happening due to COVID and the restaurant closing, we didn't have at the time started with takeaway. So we decided that we didn't want to close and stop there. And so we searched for a solution to help people that really needed our help. Our charity, Cristian, has outreach teams that goes to the streets, and we have really contact with the people in the street. We know the needs they have, so we knew that there were a lot of people living in the street that, well, unfortunately, like other of us, the government said stay at home, but for them it's not a possibility. So we wanted to give our contribution, and so we start preparing 200 meals per day to distribute to sleeping in the streets. Now we are distributing 300 meals. We have the support from several partners. We have the support from individuals also that do donations, and a lot of help coming from the community. It's really a good sign, because people is really helping. And so depending what we have on the day, the restaurant team, so there's a chef, there's a technical team also, of course. And so they prepare depending on what we have each day. And so we have the initiative is going on well, and we raise the number of meals per day, because there is, due to the crisis that this situation is generating, there's not only people that live in the street that come to look for food, but it's also people that are experiencing a difficult situation. Otherwise they wouldn't need it, and now they do. So yes, that's mainly the initiative we are developing.
So Florence, I do want to continue with the presentation, because I think now it's already there, right?
I sent one. Yes.
Cassia, because family is here with us.
Okay. Wait. No, it's okay. Okay. Cassia. Okay.
Right.
Isu Katarzynia. Is that? No.
Yeah. Garcia.
Okay.
My email is totally opened, and unfortunately, I don't see anything. Nothing new came. So somehow there is nothing.
Okay. Perhaps
Yeah,
it's a thing with my email.
Maybe you could do it again.
Yes, I'm sending again. It's done. I sent to everyone. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It happens. I mean, it hasn't happened for the whole day, so I was like surprised.
Okay, I'm the worst here. I'm feeling bad.
No, absolutely. That was not my intention. But it's, it keeps us kind of motivated and
the thing is that it's true that with the picture sometimes you can see better and you can see better the initiative that is going on and perhaps with the words it's not enough. I know. So sorry.
Yeah, visual.
Yes.
Yeah, visual stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yes.
There is an email,
I will continue. Sorry, I will continue saying that normally our charity doesn't provide food because in Lisbon there are a lot of charities that do that work, and so we don't provide food to people. We do another kind of intervention, but we saw that it was really needed in this time, and also because people is asked to stay at home, so there are less volunteers and less people on the street. And so that's why the need arose. Okay, it's there. So that's the name of our restaurant, which means it's a restaurant. Perhaps you can go forward. It's just this is the explanation of crochet. These I went through our conversation, so you can go by. This also is explanation of the restaurant. It's a casual fine dining restaurant. You can see there in the following slides you will see the actual how does it look like. So we train per year 75 people. This is a pilot project we are doing, and so the thing that we found really really amazing on this initiative is that people that used to be in a homeless condition that are integrated in the restaurant are now cooking and preparing the meals for the people that are now on the streets, and so it's we believe in this. We believe in what we are doing, and we are very proud of them of the path they have been doing. So yes, we can pass. This is the objectives of the restaurant, and so just to give an idea of the training they do, they are trained by crochet psychologists on social skills. Then they go to the tourism school to do a technical training. I mean, in all the restoration and all this part, and then they integrate the internship. And now the first group was supposed to go to internships in February to external restaurants. It's just that it has been stopped in standby due to COVID because, of course, the restaurants are closed. That is our space. It is small. We have 28 people seated. It's a space that belongs to Lisbon City Hall. That is also our partner. We did all the works. If you pass, I guess there will be a picture or something. This is our chef that helped us with all the menus and with everything. And there's the restaurant. Actually, this is a photo taken yesterday. You can see, well, we reorganized everything to prepare the meals. It's a lot of logistics. Normally we don't prepare that amount of food. So there you can see the team, some of the trainees working with the executive chef, David, and then some publications there. There's the team with their masks in the kitchen. And then there have been some publications of the initiative. There are a lot of things going on in Portugal, and luckily, and so yes, we have had some cover on this. And well, this is really the restaurant team that is putting this through. And then we have, of course, the support from a lot of partners that help us. Here in the last slide, you can see the partners in the next one. The partners from the project, original project, but then we have had also people helping and business and enterprises helping for this initiative in particular. So we're very grateful. We receive everyday donations. We are trying to share the message in our networks, in our social networks, saying what we need every day, and people are really, really helping, really giving. And so we are planning to do this for as long as it will be needed.
I think, Teresa, you said something that is really important, that right now, because of the pandemic, is happening that people that used to live in the street, they are cooking for homeless people. Could you tell us a little bit about the process? Because I guess it's difficult that you arrive to the street, you speak with someone. Would you like to be a chef of the restaurant? How is the process to get all these people involved? And how do you do it?
Yes. So we have our Crochet has outreach teams that are in contact with people living in the street. We have 3 divided in the different areas of Lisbon. And we do daily routes, and they go to the street, they talk to people, and most of them, we knew them already. Our teams knew them already. And so it's just what we ask. Really, we have 2 criteria for people to integrate this project. And it's, well, of course, one is having experienced a homeless situation, because the project to help these people, and the second is a motivation. If they want really integrate the project, if they want to change, even if tomorrow they don't want to continue in the restoration sector, just for them to make a step to get into the market, the labor market again, and to get back to we have a part of the training that is more social, and so we talk about how to deal with conflicts, how to work with a group, with a colleague, and so these are skills that can be useful for any work, not only in the restoration sector. And so yes, that's why, because our charity has an approach really to be close to the people we support, and also because we work with other charities in the social sector that also are in contact with people who had experienced homelessness, and so they do also referrals. It's because the technician, the people that accompany the person was in contact with them, talked to them, and he explained the project, and he thought that he could be interested, and it's then that they do the referral. There are meetings with our psychologist, with the chef, and so to try to understand what the person really needs, and try to see if this project can adapt to their world of living. It's been, this project was the idea of the association before I came in. The idea was to find an innovative approach and a different answer, because the answers that were available were not suitable for the people we were supporting, because we saw it, it was there. And so that's why this restaurant arose. And well, today it's been really good working. It's been a lot of satisfaction from the 1st of October that it opens the doors until February. But well, now we couldn't stop working, so that's why this initiative arose. There are other initiatives, and also at the charity that we continue to support in a different way. All the people we support. In average, we have 2,000. We support 2,000 people per year with all the projects, and so we didn't want to stop. So we
and besides the training, do you support them in other aspects? Because I guess when they say, okay, I want to be trained, they still live in the street. Until they get a salary, I guess they have to rent a room or an apartment. How do you do it? Do you support them also in that aspect?
Yes, totally. That's a good question. We have, there's a psychologist that is there from the beginning to the process until the end, until the people get integrated into internships. This support is key for this project. It's all the people that get into the project when they start. If they were in a homeless situation, we try to find solutions, even if not permanent, but it could be a shelter or a room. We provide support in this case. We also provide support for health issues, insurance, documentation, everything that people would need. So we have these. The team is composed by the project manager, who is myself. And of course we have the support of the director of the charity that is been working in this topic for 20 years. So this is really, really helpful. We have the chef, Nuno, the chef that help us do all the menus and all that is also supporting there. We have the executive chef, David, who is every day there with them in the kitchen training these skills. And then we have Jose in the room, for all the room, because they learn to do kitchen, rooms, and all service and everything. And then we have the psychologist, Alessandro, that helps them with all the needs in terms of everything. It's like we are not just helping in the employment aspect. We are really helping all the needs they have. For example, we had a partnership with a dentist to give response to all this, the teeth part that was really a need for most of them. So this is just one example, but we articulate with other charities. Of course, we don't do this alone. We articulate with charities that we really, or with the responses that already exist and that can provide a support on this aspect, because we see it as a whole. It's not only employment.
Well, thank you so much, Florencia, because I think it's amazing what you are doing. We are almost on time. I think we are a little bit late, 10 minutes, but I don't know, Hanna, if you wanted to ask something.
I just wanted to, obviously, thank you, Florencia, for joining us. I think it's like really important what you're doing, because when we are talking about, we have to stay at home, everybody's, under the lockdown, everybody's confined at home, and there are people who don't have homes, and we have to remember about that they are in a much worse position than we are. And, thank you guys for doing that. And, these are people that are often forgotten. And it's just amazing. Thanks for that. Thank you for joining us, obviously.
Thanks to you for the time. I'm so sorry for the technical issue.
No, it was amazing.
There's always one, right? It was my turn this time.
No, but your initiative is great anyway. So, and your presentation was really good. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. Happy to be there. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Wow.
I mean, it's so heart-melting. I'm just so impressed and I'm so excited. I think it was really powerful what people shared. And like what John, there was this moment when John said, that there is this illness of solidarity. And it's just amazing. I'm very much impressed about by all the people, by all the initiatives that were shared. And I'm so happy that they joined us.
It was amazing. All the experience, because some of them we already knew, we wrote about it, but it's totally different when they explain. When you see, especially the last one, Florence, we saw so many initiatives with homeless people, and you see that there are always an opportunity to do the things in a different way. It was really nice.
What do you think? It was actually, I wanted to congratulate you. You did great. Yes, exactly. Wow.
Yeah, we are going to cry.
Am I hearing it? No, but I mean, I just feel that the crisis brings out the best in people. And we just have to pay attention to that, because there is, the pandemic, even though it's like super obviously tough, and it's been a really tough period on all of us, but I feel that the pandemic has been a great motivator to self-organize, engage, help, share, and just be with others. So that's.
And I think Jonan said that, but for sure we are not going to forget that all these challenges. Fatimah said in Afghanistan, for sure there are many things happening. We don't say that everything is amazing, positive, but we cannot forget all these amazing things that are happening.
Yeah, we just kind of need to also pay attention to what is happening, let's say beyond the headlines, right, as we call it. And I'm also amazed that actually every country has its own heroes, whether these are medical workers or community leaders or startups or businesses or even governments. Who could have imagined?
Yeah. Well, let's finish it for now. We resume at 7 a.m. Central Eastern Standard Time. So what else? It's been fun. Let's.
Certainly.
You have to drink something, I guess. Some water or a cold beverage of a sort. So enjoy your time and talk to you at 7.
Absolutely.